There's a scene where even Joe Weider says, hey Arnold, don't you think that Robby Robinson can beat you?
Don't you think that anybody else has a chance to beat you like Robby Robinson?
No, come on, Joe.
He knew that Joe Weider appreciated my physique more. Kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Nobody will look at the legs.
We had Serge Oliva. We have Denny Gable. We have Denny Padilla. We have Dennis Tinerino. We have Serge Nubret. We have Kal Szkalak. We have Mike Mentzer. We forgot one guy. We also have Dave Draper. He would almost get $900,000, almost $1 million. But instead he settled with Joe Weider. He got $17,000.
And I think he passed away.
I was a newlywed to bodybuilder Robby Robinson, and Arnold passed me by and he groped my breast.
I've never grabbed anyone and they put up their shirt and grab the breast and stuff like that. This is not me.
Here's this black guy speaking up. You should be quiet.
Yeah.
I want you to shut up. Be happy that you are able to live here. I mean, is that a freedom of speech?
No, screw your freedom.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know him?
Schwarzenegger.
If you talk about it, then you're going to be outcasted like myself. I knew that it had to be between myself and Lou. Everybody in the audience goes, Lou, Robby Robinson. And I says, yes, yes.
How did your body get under Joe Weider's head?
We was invited to the grand opening. Weider came up and he flipped it off. Everybody was like, he had taken my head off and put his head on my body.
And nobody knows until this day.
Exactly, until this day.
This is the bust that was supposed to be unveiled 50 years ago.
Don't you think that anybody else has a chance to beat you like Robby Robinson?
No, come on, Joe.
You got to be more powerful than anything that can happen.
I think that Robby's gonna be the great black hope.
If you let anything crack, just you don't. When he flipped it off, everybody was like,
Welcome to the Space Podcast. This podcast is a passion project of mine, and you cannot censor passion. And this is why we have zero sponsors, so we can talk freely about anything.
that's how life should be. That's how things should be.
Today's guest is, you've seen him before. We did the first podcast with him. It is the Black Prince of Bodybuilding, AKA Mr. Lifestyle, Mr. Robby Robinson.
Awesome.
People consider you a legend. I consider you a friend. And today we're gonna do round 2. It's been a couple of months since the last one, and that one kind of blew up the internet. People are loving it.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. It's just things that happened in those time periods that was just not spoken about or put in the magazine. And, you know, I think it's good for the young guys to hear all of that.
Absolutely.
There's no animosity or bad feelings about it. That's just life.
Yes.
And life is never going to be perfect, so you might as well get used to it. And there are moments in your life where you're going to encounter things that challenge you. And I think the whole bodybuilding business really challenged me.
Absolutely. You know, last time I kept saying you're 78 years young, but today you're officially 78 years young. And also, I might add, younger and sexier than last time. No, Robby, you were so ahead of your time back in the day that you're still modern today. And
You read that piece too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love that one. And
I was really struck by it because I thought it was so interesting and powerful, because that's what I wanted to do. When they printed that in the magazine at that point, you know, I was pushing Chris Camille for, I think it third or fourth Mr. Ironman
Yeah,
competition, right?
yeah.
And they say, hey, Robbie's still modern today.
That's right.
I thought that was a compliment.
It is. I think it's a huge because certain things never go out of style. They're timeless, and that's something we're gonna talk about later. We got timeless to talk later.
Still modern today.
And in my view, you are the last true bodybuilder that's left from the golden era. And by true bodybuilder, I mean you're still muscular and you're like stage ready. And the only other guy I can think of from that era is Arnold. But if I put you next to Arnold, you're on a different planet. So I'm just saying.
That was my choice. That's what I wanted to do. I came in there wanting to be, winning Mr. America, Mr. World, Mr. Universe, and be famous, travel all over the world, make a piece of money, get a really nice home, car with all the amenities, right?
Yes.
But then when I got all of that stuff, I realized there was still more to do. So I wanted to just kind of be healthy. I didn't want to come out of it with health situation, health issues. I wanted to come out of those things. So I started changing my whole lifestyle in bodybuilding as I got older. I didn't indulge in the anabolics as much. Whenever I would use them only for 8 weeks.
Yes.
And in that time period, I didn't want to be the biggest bodybuilder. I wanted to have the most beautiful physique.
Yes.
That's what I want, to have the most beautiful physique with just the right amount of size that would still make me competitive.
And there's a big difference between the biggest bodybuilder and the most beautiful physique.
Exactly. That's what I want. I want to have a healthy physique. I want to come out of it healthy. I want to be healthy at the end of this story. I don't want to have any kind of ailments. Going in there and being healthy to me was the most important than winning championships, seriously.
Yeah, and as you say, anything's possible. If you set your mind to it, anything's possible.
Anything.
And being in a top shape, being healthy at 78 is so possible. You are a living proof of that.
I wanted to be in shape as I got older. I wanted to be even better than I was when I was younger.
Yes.
I wanted to come back and see if I could develop that same kind of physique with that same muscularity and definition, and I'm able to do it. So I'm totally excited about it.
I love it.
There was nothing that's impossible. Just a made-up mind is powerful.
I started this podcast with the intention to educate people, and now I have a few thousand subscribers since the last time.
Awesome.
Because people are loving the education. And we're gonna get many more new ones. So for all the new audience that's tuning in, I gotta give them a little introduction of your achievements so they know who our guest is today. You did, and you have won 300 amateur bodybuilding contests before going pro. You have also Mr. America, you have Mr. World, you have Mr. Universe, you got Mr. International, you got the Olympia tall class, you got Mr. Olympia heavyweight class, you got the Night of the Champions a couple of times, you're the first ever Masters Mr. Olympia 1994, and you were 3 times Masters Mr. Olympia, 94, 97, and 2000. And at 78, I see that you're not slowing down. I mean, you're just getting started. And something I'm really excited about, there is a brand new documentary coming out on Generation Iron about your life. It's called The Blueprint, and it will be available on all platforms on June 28th. What should people expect from this documentary, Robby? What can you tell them?
What I've heard from a lot of people that have seen these different clips, they're all excited about it because it's something different. They haven't seen that side of me or that part of Robby Robinson with the knowledge and actually being able out there and sharing it. And I think people are all excited about it. Everybody couldn't wait. I get all kind of comments, man, Robby, we can't wait. The 20th is the big time.
Yes.
We're all excited. So I'm excited for the fans to be able to see, top quality work, and the person has still maintained the physique seemed like forever.
Yeah. A funny moment, you were telling me you were training at the pit the other day, and some guy came with his family, and he's like, Robby, I'm so sorry this happened to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of people, I'm getting a lot of people coming up to me now that are unusual. And a lot of them are are black people.
Yes.
And I think that is awesome. Awesome. White, also Hispanics. I'm getting a whole bunch of people coming up and saying, "Hey, man, awesome! That is amazing. I got your clip. Saw the clip of you in your documentary, The Blueprint, Robby Robinson Blueprint. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it."
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So a lot of things have happened since our last podcast, and one of them is you went to Europe and you did a sold-out seminar in Italy. Mm-hmm. And big shout out to Alfredo, the promoter. Mm-hmm. He did a terrific job, and I believe you're gonna be working many more times with him.
Oh yeah, Alfredo is awesome.
I mean,
thank you, Alfredo.
Yeah, Alfredo, grazie mille. And you did a 3-hour seminar where you were sharing interesting moments from your career, answering questions to the crowd about nutrition, training, and all of this will be available on your website soon.
Exactly.
So if people want to see the seminar, check out Robby's website, robbyrobinson.net, coming soon.
Coming soon. We're all
Yes.
excited about it.
I gotta share a story before you went to Italy. We have a crazy passport story to share. I mean, nobody knows about this, man.
Yeah,
and even, people don't know what happened. Like, this is a true bodybuilder story. So, on the day of the flight,
Day of the flight.
On the day of the flight. This is
day of the flight.
Saturday.
In the studio,
Yeah.
after a photo shoot.
I'm like, hey, Robby, I know you're in top shape. Let me do a photo shoot with you, with Gabe, and I need to capture this condition because you're in phenomenal condition. And while you're shooting the pictures, I'll check you in for your flight. So as you're shooting the pictures with Gabe, I am trying to check you in and it's not going through. I'm like, what is wrong? Then I check the passport and I see your passport's expired. I'm like, oh my God. And I cannot tell you, hey, Rob, in the middle of a shoot, I'm gonna ruin the moment. I mean, you're like loving it, posing, incredible. And so I'm like just holding back and I'm waiting for the photo shoot to finish because the pictures that came out were insane.
Oh yeah.
People went crazy for the pictures.
Gabe did an incredible job.
Yeah.
I mean, I told him to
He's a
artist
magician.
with the camera.
So
Did a great job. I mean, instead of me coming out a different color, he made my skin come out like it should come out.
Yes.
Dark brown, chocolate.
yeah.
Great job. I mean, the muscularity and definition,
Yeah.
people still want to know how did I get, like, how can I do that?
Yeah.
But hey, there was a lot
Those
of
pictures-
also with the camera, where he was flashing and moving the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, total art. Amazing, Gabe.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah, big shout out to
Whenever
Gabe.
I see them, I go like, wow, I know you seem real.
Yep. So
I
the
love-
photo shoot ends and I have to break the news.
Oh my God.
And man, it was
I
heartbreaking.
think
I'm
I
like,
went,
yeah, you deflated.
Deflated.
Like, the pump was gone. I was like, I'm so happy.
This glad you didn't call it.
I was gonna ruin the whole
I
shoot.
loved it.
So
I
I was
loved
like,
it.
I was holding
That's
back.
the perfect timing. He didn't
Yeah.
say anything to everybody until Robby.
And then Robby deflated.
You can't go.
I'm like, where's the bicep?
Oh.
So yep. So
It's interesting.
So
Very
then next thing you know, I'm like, what do we do? So we drove to the airport
Yep.
to see if there's anything we can do. There's nothing we
Yep.
can do on a Saturday.
Yep.
They said you need to apply
there's
for a
nothing,
new
you have to go.
passport. So first thing we did, we took pictures, I filled out the form, and we managed to get credit for the ticket so we can, whenever we're ready to go, we'll get the
Yep.
ticket. First thing Monday, we show up at the federal building. We're first in line, and 15 minutes before they open the doors, they go, if you don't have appointment number, you're not getting in. I'm like, oh my God. What appointment number? So,
Be a whole lot
I
of little
start
scenarios there.
Yeah, I start calling phone numbers and they
Oh
said,
my God.
oh, we have one opening for San Francisco. I'm like, you don't understand, we're in LA, not San Francisco. Give me your supervisor.
Somebody.
Somebody. So the
I don't
super
know how
comes on.
everything worked out. That's
Yeah, everything
beautiful.
it was perfect.
Perfect.
I'm like, look,
Even in a bad moment.
we have a veteran here. We need to get this passport. And they're like, here's your appointment. They give us appointment number. We go inside the building and then they say, the fastest we can get it is in 7 days. I'm like, 7 days? the seminars in 6 days. I go, is it possible faster? They say, only if it's a life or death situation. I'm like, it's life and death. So they say, so they're like,
Well, I heard you say that. I said, oh, just let him deal with it. He talking to talk. They listening to him.
They say, the lady goes, come on Wednesday, you'll be ready. So we come back on Wednesday, we book the ticket for Wednesday, the flight, and we enter the building and the alarm goes off. I'm like,
and
now
of course,
what?
who caused the alarm to go off?
Well, who else but Robby?
I got a fork in my...
Now that's a true bodybuilder.
Oh.
They're like, sir, you have to exit the building. You cannot have any sharp objects. What was a sharp object? Robby had a fork with his Tupperware with the meal, because he's not skipping meals for his seminar in Italy.
Yep.
So we have to go out to the car, drop off the food, drop off the fork, and we walked in, we got the passport, then straight to the airport, and you made it to Italy, and you crushed that seminar, man.
You know, I always think, though, sometimes when things happen at that moment, it doesn't mean that's the end of the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just kind of keep believing in the possibility of something coming out of it positive. That's how I always try to be. And it definitely worked out like that.
You know, like what the poster says, it says, the Black Prince, overcoming adversity.
Exactly.
I say, you know, adversity doesn't make you grow. Adversity exposes you. Meaning, are you ready to take on the challenge and grow above, or you're gonna shrink?
Exactly.
So adversity is so good, and you've been taking adversity.
You need adversity.
You need adversity.
It empowers you, seriously.
And that was just a moment of adversity.
Yeah, the moment of adversity.
Like, we were on a Saturday night, we lose the flight, we don't have a passport, yet we made it to the seminar because we kept believing you're gonna make it.
Yeah, I totally believed it was gonna come out.
And nobody knew.
One bad thing happened, it's always sometime one bad thing happened, then sometime a good thing happened.
That's right.
That's how I've always been.
And you brought the house down in Italy. Man.
Say again?
You brought the house down.
Oh yeah, they loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
They
big
want
thing.
you back.
They're still talking about it there right now. Yeah.
I love it. You know, since last time, our podcast got a lot of views. It got like 500,000 views. Like just the clip with the Joe Weider got like 330,000. The training, the favorite exercise got like 180,000, and Arnold got like almost 100,000. I mean, as I said, my goal is simple. It's like, help you tell your true story to the world, because the world doesn't know your story yet. Like, I only have like almost 5,000 subscribers. We're talking 7 billion people on this planet. We can totally reach more than 5,000.
Yeah.
And with almost 5,000 subscribers, we reached out 500,000.
That's a lot of people, man.
So
it's a lot of humans.
I mean, from all the comments that we got, people want to hear more.
Awesome. I mean,
because they simply don't know.
Appreciate the truth. I think people. I used to think that, you know, a lot of times maybe people don't want to hear, but they want to hear the truth. I think even more so now, because it's old news, but it's new news.
Yes.
So a lot of people haven't heard it or don't know the story.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing to do, Spragues.
Yeah.
I appreciate being able to share the story.
It's an honor to have you here sharing it with me.
Totally excited about it.
You know, as I said, you're one of the only guys left, true bodybuilders from the golden era, besides Arnold. But you know, everybody knows Arnold because he's told his story many times through his books, and I've read his books and I've watched his movies. But now it's time for Robby's story.
Yeah,
and,
it's awesome.
And also, if you want to support Robby and you want to know more about Robby's life, you want to get the full story, make sure you get yourself a copy of his book, The Black Prince.
You can always do better. You just got to believe in yourself.
So you served this country, Robby, the United States of America, and you're a big patriot. And almost every time we train together, you train with an American flag bandana. Let's go back to when you were 19 years old. In your book, you write that in 1965, when you're 19, you were drafted by the U.S. Armed Forces, and you went to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. and then you also went to a paratrooper school.
Oh boy,
And,
it's like that one.
And then you were supposed to deploy either Vietnam or the Dominican Republic. You went for a leave to Tallahassee, and you didn't support the Vietnam War. You overstayed your leave, and then when you came back, you got docked half a month's pay. You got punished by losing a stripe. Yet you missed your troops deployment to Vietnam, and you were sent to the Dominican Republic for a 6-month non-combat tour of duty, which was a perfect prep for Vietnam. So let's tell everyone the story how you actually got damaged your hearing and also your eyesight because you were assistant gunner.
I come from the South. I come from the swamps. I grew up with poor whites and poor Indians. I had no idea there was a world outside those swamps.
Yes.
And that's where I lived. That's where I wanted to grow up. I wanted to find the woman I wanted to marry, have my kids right there in the swamp. But then for me, from some unknown reason, I wanted to see that was another world. I thought that was something outside of those swamps. And so as they say, what you look for, you'll find it.
Yes.
And so I found it.
Yeah.
And I got out there and I started, interacting with all of that, being a sports star, going to school, multitude of scholarships to play sports.
Yes.
Laureate University, Southern University, all these different black universities that pulled me in to actually become the next Bob Hayes. Bob Hayes was the top athlete at this time throughout the South.
Yes.
Nobody like Bullet Bob. And I was supposed to be the next Bullet Bob.
Yes.
Coming out of high school, going into college. But then after I got out of high school, I got drafted. Back those times, I was doing the Vietnam War, so they was sending everybody pretty much 18, 19 years old. You was booked. You got to go serve 2 years and so many months, to serve your country. And I rebelled against that. I wasn't ready to die. I'm just 18, 19 years old. So, wow, hey, I'm young. I don't want to go in my life to end up like that. But then my mom was a big influence on me. She said, hey, you have to do that. If not, you're going to go to jail.
Yes.
I came to basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, went through that whole thing real easy because I've stayed in great shape all the time. And so it was easy to switch over and be just doing push-ups and chin-ups. That was easy for me.
Yes.
But I was laughed at because of the fact I carried 80, 90 pounds in the bar in my bag. After all of that, I would still be in the corner lifting.
Yeah.
So I was doing all these things, even at that time, to keep my physique and everything built up. And then as you're going through all of the basic training and stuff, then they shift you from basic training to advanced infantry training.
Yes.
Where you now go and you practice with the weapon that you're going to be using, to defend yourself and defend your country. I was what you call it, a Deuce Mortimer.
Yes.
Almost like an artillery machine. So I was able to come in there and learn that job as an assistant gunner and learn how to set all the fuses and stuff on these different rounds, preparing myself to go to Vietnam. But in the timing of all that, fate sent me to the Dominican Republic, which pretty much saved my life in a sense, I think. Yeah, saved my life because I wasn't ready to give up a life that I haven't even lived yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fate came in there. That's when I say, if you believe in something hard enough, I really did not want to end up like that.
Yeah.
But then ended up in the sense of where now I'm going to be put in a different position where I'm going to fight this war, but I'm going to fight this war with the Dominican Republic soldiers. And that's what it was like. It was like another Vietnam. We sit over there, I was over there for like almost a year and a half, pretty much. I think if you really totally believe in something, not want something to happen in your life, it won't happen. And if you go out there just trying to find something, you will find it. So I was able to skip past all of that, being an assistant gunner. My left side of my ear was blown out. That's what was the problem with. The left side of the body was blown out. So in the process of handling all the white phosphorus rounds, the materials, all those chemicals got on your hand. So you're rubbing your eyes. Nobody's telling you that you should wear goggles. Nobody gave us those earplugs that would prevent those post-traumatic stress disorder. Because that's what you hear guys say, well, that's what it is. Because they can still hear those bombs going off. And they wake up screaming, they need medication, a lot of them. Some of them need to be put in the hospital and kept there for a while. Because it's almost like you hear that buzzing sound. Boom, boom. You can hear that consistent. It wakes you up. And I've had my moments really see after all these years. I still have those moments, where you wake up and you can hear all this booming in your mind.
I had like 50 comments asking why is Robby wearing glasses? Why Robby wears glasses is because you damage your eyes when you rubbed your eyes from the phosphorus.
White phosphorus is a chemical. And what happens is when you take a round of white phosphorus in the mortar rounds, it's about this long.
Yes.
Almost about that long. And what's inside of it is a powder.
Yes.
So when if that round was to hit right here, we would just be powder. Dust.
Yes.
So when you rub your hands in the eyes, this stuff would just be burning the eyes. It's still burning the eyes. So periodically, I have to go to the VA and get what you call it, drops, medication, or shots into the eyes so that you can see clearly. So I don't see as well as a normal person would see, but I can see through the webs of my eyes. Yes. That's the problem. The glasses are medicated and they help me see better, clearer. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the reason why. Exactly. That's why Robby's wearing glasses, and you fulfilled the draft requirement. You were over 2 years, so then you couldn't be sent to Vietnam, and that's the story about that.
Yeah, that to me was a blessing because I got a chance to do what I really wanted to do, what my dream was, as I say, be Mr. America, Mr. World, Mr. Universe, and travel all over the world, educate and inspire people. That's what I wanted to do.
So there is a story in the book where you talk about Muscle Builder and how this is one of the many times Muscle Builder, the magazine, actually it's a catalog turned into magazine because they're selling equipment, but with all the articles, it turned into a magazine. This is one of the many times where an article would publish lies about Robby, and this is one of the times when they exaggerated the story that they didn't say you went to Dominican Republic, they say you went to Vietnam, and they also lied about having a father-son relationship with Weider.
Yeah, the thing about that whole Robby Robinson and Joe Weider was I sold magazines.
Yes.
My physique was what people wanted to see at that point. It was new, muscular, big and black and incredibly shaped.
Yes.
So people wanted to see that physique. I think Joe Weider was the first person to ever put a person of color on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah.
And that magazine sold relentlessly. So from that point on, I was pursued relentlessly by the whole Weider organization to get ready for covers. Yeah. That's why there were so many covers. And then in that mix, I was able to be empowered by the people that ran the art department. Yes. The number of women that were in the art department. Yes, see, that
you mentioned the women from last time.
They mentioned that to me. Yes. Because in those days, it was said that a black cover don't sell. If you put a black on the cover, it won't sell. Yeah. But these ladies would come up to me, grab my hand when nobody would look and say, Robby, your covers sell the best. Yep. And so I said, oh, really? Oh, that's what it is. They wanted you to think that, you don't sell covers. But they said, Robby, your covers always sell the best. Yeah. And that to me really empowered me. And I really sometimes think about, I wonder what happened to all those ladies. They were so nice. They just kept empowering me each time I would go out there. That was a cover. Robby, your covers sell the best. Robby, your covers sell the best. Everybody like your covers, Robby.
I love it.
And this is like all over the world. You're talking 100 and some countries now. Yeah. These magazines were all over the world. In every country in Europe. 109 countries.
So this is one of those covers. This is Robby. This is Robby on the cover, and the article is here. Actually, I want to share with the audience what this article says, just so they know what is being printed, and I'm also going to post so people can actually read it. So this is the part where the author of the article is Jack Neary. And here's how he describes what happened to you in Vietnam. This is where he lies about the experience. He says, there's a scar approximately 1.5 inches long marring the skin below Robinson's right eye. Another scar about the same size surmounts the flesh of his right lower thigh. His story of how he was wounded is not for the squeamish. We were on a long march through the jungle when suddenly we were ambushed. Bullets were flying everywhere and guys were dropping around me. I was grazed across the cheek. At first I thought it was much worse because of blood was all over my face. But I was lucky. I was lying down and some guy had fallen across me, and when the shooting stopped, Charlie, another word for Viet Congs, came walking around the body, stabbing them with bayonets to see if anyone was alive. They continues in the back. This is how they did the magazines back in the day. They put half of it in the front. And I was so still, and I guess it looked like I was dead with all the blood. One of them stabbed me in the thigh. Oh, that hurt. but I couldn't make a whimper. That was the toughest thing I ever had to do. So that's one thing. And then the other thing was the relationship with Joe. He says, I probably enjoyed a better relationship with Joe than any other bodybuilder, said Robinson. We've never had a fight. Believe it or not, he treats me like a son.
I didn't read the magazine. I never saw a lot of the pictures that people are now sending to me pretty much daily.
Yeah.
I had no clue some of these pictures even existed. And even you spots, you're sending me pictures.
Yeah.
I go like, wow, that's cool. I didn't know I looked like that. But I just never got into it. I didn't want to know or see myself as this personality that everybody all over the world wanted me to see. I didn't know that person.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Bodybuilding Legends podcast. I have a very special guest this week, Mr. Jack Neary.
Thanks, John. I'm really honored to be asked.
So tell me about Robby, because I know you wrote a few articles about Robby, and I remember the one you wrote about where you talked about his Vietnam experience. So
yeah.
you know him pretty well, right?
Yeah, Robby was just a lovely, kind, really good guy. I really liked Robby, and we spent a lot of time. I used to go over to his apartment, and he'd tell me these stories of serving in the Vietnam. He got a Purple Heart for being wounded, and not all that. It's not stories that he would normally open up about that much, because I think he saw stuff that can really give a guy post-traumatic stress disorder.
And another detail: you are on the cover in the famous bust pose, but in the same magazine, he starts using his bust as the new symbol.
This new symbol for the company.
For the company.
Yeah.
And I got to read what the quote is. He basically says, strive for excellence, exceed yourself, love your friend, speak the truth, practice fidelity, and honor your father and mother. These principles will help you master yourself, make you strong, give you hope, and put you on a path to greatness. Joe Weider, trainer of champions. Well, speak the truth doesn't really exist much in a lot of these articles.
You're worth $400 million. You can do and say and be any way you want. When I brought all of this thing to court concerning the bus, and my image being used as it was.
Yes.
The lawyer told me point blank it'll take me $50,000 before he even takes the case.
Wow.
And in that process, knowing I didn't have $50,000, he said, I know you don't have that kind of money. He told me point blank.
Yeah.
He said, I can't take that kind of case. I don't want to bother with it. I have enough clients on my own.
We're going to get to your arrival in LA. But before you got to LA, you actually went to see the first Mr. Olympia for you, which was the 1970 Mr. Olympia. You went to see it live in New York, right? Mm-hmm. You went to see Sergio against Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about this. Like, Arnold pulled a little stunt on Sergio. What happened there?
I was in Tallahassee and I had wanted to see something like that. I had never been to a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah.
So I took my daughter, my oldest daughter, on the Greyhound bus all the way to New York. We got up in the middle of New York, never left Florida in my life.
Yes.
I get to New York, I have a hotel there for myself and her. And in the process of all of that, we go to the bodybuilding competition. And at the bodybuilding competition, there was nobody in the show. There were only the judges.
Wow.
Myself, my daughter.
Wow.
There was nobody there. And Arnold and Sergio, Oliva, and some other bodybuilders came out on stage.
And that was it. That was Mr. Olympia.
That was it. There was no such thing as cameras. There was none of that.
Wow.
There was no stage. It was just a stage lit up.
Yeah.
And the bodies walked out on stage and they posed.
Wow.
And in the process, I'm sitting there watching this, amazed at what I'm seeing. Sergio Oliva looked like some from another galaxy, and Arnold up there posing. And I'm thinking to myself, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing these guys actually dueling here on stage. And then in the process of them posing and going through the mandatories, the judge told them to leave the stage. And in the process of them leaving the stage, Sergio, Arnold let him go first, and he walked off the stage.
Yeah.
And then the judge told him, you guys come back on the stage, but Serge didn't hear him. So he just kept walking. So Arnold was always stayed out on the stage and just kept posing and posing and posing and posing. And then they gave Arnold the Mr. Olympia Championship.
I saw footage when Sergio stepped down. Arnold was like, where are you going? You quitting? Almost like you just quit?
Exactly.
He made a scene out of it.
Yeah, he made a scene out of it. And that's how he won his first Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You both have a thing for fashion, both you and Sergio. I mean, you can see very fashionable, very fashionable.
Very fashionable.
But you also, both of you have amazing physiques.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
And you've competed together. You've competed in was it in Waba?
In Waba, yeah.
So before the Olympia 1970, I don't know if you know, but I did my research. Arnold beat Sergio 2 weeks prior. Here's what happened. Here's my research. This book is by Randy Roach. It's called Muscle, Smoke, and Mirrors, Volume 2. And I just want to share what happened over here. Arnold was in London to win his 5th Mr. Universe title. Immediately following the show, Arnold, Franco, Dave Draper, and Borico. So they flew first to New York, and then they were jetted privately to Columbus, Ohio to compete in another contest. And that another contest, it was the Pro World. Sergio was reluctant to compete in the Pro World. And then also Oliva's manager tells what happened. Oliva's manager at the time, Jack Mergimekian, recounted how Serge Oliva went to Columbus to watch the show, not to compete. And when he spied him in the audience, Jim Lorimer negotiated successfully to get Oliva to compete in the bodybuilding show against Arnold. The manager of Oliva stated that Sergio had no intention of competing. He was focused on Mr. Olympia contest only 2 weeks away, where he planned his 4th straight victory. He had defeated Arnold the year before. And it says, although Oliva may not have prepared physically or psychologically to compete against Arnold, who was in top form, he allowed himself to be lured into the show and lost.
Yeah.
And after all, it's unlikely that Arnold was privately jetted into Columbus in order to lose to a black Cuban in front of a televised audience of millions.
From Austria, welcome to our stage, please, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Here we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, 22 years of age, now living in Los Angeles. A few days ago in London, he won the Mr. Universe competition. Here he is trying to put back-to-back 2 great physique titles. This one for Mr. World. He's the challenger to Sergio Oliva.
Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And the winner, the challenger, coming into this competition. What a big day for this youngster from Austria, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Basically what happened was Jim Lorimer, the promoter of Pro World, flew him overnight.
Yeah.
It was a setup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Arnold comes in shape. Sergio is not peaking yet, but somehow he got him to compete, and Arnold beats him. And this is 2 weeks before Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
So now Arnold has momentum. And there was another thing that happened over dinner. Arnold tells him, if you were heavier 10 pounds, you would have beat me. So now Oliva puts 15 pounds, so he goes a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
And then Arnold puts the final nail in the coffin when he goes, what happened actually was like, I think we're done. We're both tired. And Sergio said, yeah, I think we're done. So he walks off the stage. And as soon as he walks off, Arnold goes, where are you going? It's like, everybody sees it, he's quitting. And he keeps posing.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was it.
And that was it. And that's how
he got basically his setup of actually, going into the Miss Olympia, winning the 6th Miss Olympia title.
Yeah. And also,
it's all staged, a lot of it.
He, at this show, the Pro World, he told Jim Lorimer after he retires, he wants to be a business partner with him.
Exactly.
Because the whole thing was arranged.
That's what it is.
And that's how they started Arnold Classic.
The Arnold Classic, exactly.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing how these things happen. It's like, but you gotta research, you gotta see what happened.
Yeah.
So before, you're one of the guys that went against Arnold, and there is a list of bodybuilders. Whoever went against Arnold, somehow they got canceled.
They got what?
They got canceled from the industry. And before Robby, it was Sergio. This was the first one that 1970. So 1971, he competed in a different organization, NABA. And then the Weiders go, hey, everybody competed. They are disqualified. They're suspended. And they told Arnold, hey, don't compete, so we can suspend all of these guys. So then Arnold in 1971 is the only one on stage and goes on to win 1971.
Yep, exactly.
So that's 2 times. So then 1972, At this Olympia, Arnold said that if he was a judge, he would have given the victory to Serge Oliva. That's how good he was at this show.
He was good at that time. Yeah.
He was great.
He was on.
Now, what happened was Arnold picked the room where to do the prejudging. And it was apparently a darker wall, and it made him stand out because he was more pale.
Yeah.
And Sergio, that was in better shape, got washed out. He kind of blended with that. Yeah, exactly. He blended with the wall.
But there's another one where Arnold convinced everybody to move the show into a room, off stage, into a room, and the room was brown.
Yeah.
Said that my dad faded into the background, and then that's when he lost that too.
I gotta pull another quote over here, because this book, the author, he interviewed a lot of bodybuilders from the golden era, and also he spoke to Charles Gaines and George Butler over the phone.
Really?
So he's got a lot of scoop.
Lots of smoke and mirror.
Yes, and he's got a lot of scoop about anything that happened in pumping iron.
Amazing.
So it's all here, brother.
Amazing.
So this is what Arnold said. Certainly, Sergio was great enough in Germany to take the Mr. Olympia title. And I will go further and admit that if I had been judged in Germany, I would have voted in favor of Oliva over me. So that's in a book called Fantastic. And then Rick Wayne wrote a book called Muscle Wars. He says that Arnold said, I was far more interested in the paint of the wall. It hadn't occurred to Sergio that my white body would stand out against the dark wall behind us, while his would blend right in. There's another setup, and there goes another title of Mr. Olympia to Arnold.
It was all setups, basically.
Yeah, I was in really good shape. The next day, we went to Essen, Germany to compete in my first Mr. Olympia. I mean, it was Arnold's contest in Essen, Germany. He didn't deserve it. Sergio should have won.
Sergio should have won that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was in great shape. But Arnold was a month out. He was a month away. But, you know, they gave it to him because it was in Germany.
So I'm just going chronologically here. We're going to get to 1975, pumping iron. 1973, here's what happens. There is a contest in Tijuana. And the contest was Mr. International. Arnold was supposed to compete. He flies in with Joe Weider. Sergio tries to pull out the same trick that Arnold pulled on him in 1970. He tried to show up and compete against him. When Sergio shows up, Weider goes, wait, I need 3 of my judges. I'm going to be a judge, and we're going to do the show this way. The promoter of the show, Eddie Silvestri, goes, you cannot do that. And then Joe Weider goes, well, in that case, Arnold, you're not competing. And they made this whole spectacle about Sergio, hey, come on, let's compete. And Joe's like, no, we have a competition Olympia in 4 weeks, so we're going to save it. So he didn't return the favor of what happened for the 70. And after that, Weider banned the promoter, Silvestri, and gave the promotion of that contest, Mr. International, to Arnold. So now Arnold became the promoter. Sergio Oliva gets banned.
Amazing, isn't it?
He gets banned, so he cannot compete. And after he's being banned, Joe Weider writes an article about Sergio, that Sergio is a chicken without a head. He calls him a chicken.
A chicken, yeah, I remember that.
He cannot, and here's the article. It's in 1974 Muscle Builder with Frank Zane on the cover. And it says, Sergio Oliva, a chicken without a head, by Joe Weider. But that's page 1. On page 2, he goes full-blown commando. He's using the words whore and hooker. Here's what he says. Unfortunately for Oliva, when his head eroded, so did his memory. This was the famous night that Dan Lurie clambered on stage and stormed at Sergio to retract his statements. Lurie had paid Sergio, a whore even then, to endorse his products. So this is back then when there was this situation between Dan Lurie and Sergio Oliva having some type of a contract. Joe Weider is alluding to this moment and using the W-H-O-R-E word. And then he goes, Dan Lurie became enraged. Sergio had given him old Hooker's double cross. But now that Sergio cannot beat Arnold, he's once again a crony of Lurie's and saying anything old Danny Boy wants. Meaning, Sergio's back to Danny, since he's not with Joe Weider anymore.
I remember that, yeah.
And it says bodybuilding's darkest hour.
Yeah.
Because Sergio does not show up. Well, how are you going to show up if you're being banned? So he's creating all these stories, and nobody can say anything.
If you run the organization, you're able to do that.
You're running all the media. There's nothing you can do. So there goes 73. 74, he cannot compete because he's gone for 10 years until 1984 Olympia when you guys went head to head. And there's the first one that got canceled. It was Sergio. Now back to Robby. Gold's Gym Venice. 1975, Robby arrives at Gold's. And in your book, you said you didn't train for like 3 days. You would just go and watch. Like, how was it? This is 1975. You're there at Gold's Gym. This is the Mecca. Tell me, who was in that gym? Who was training there?
All the guys. Eddie Giuliani, Kent Keene, Wilford Sylvester, Paul.
Ken Waller. He was the manager of the gym too.
Denny Gable, myself. Who else we had?
Franco. Franco was there. Yeah. Frank Zane. Was Frank Zane too?
Frank Zane really didn't train that much. He was more of a high school teacher. I think him and his lady lived in Venice pretty much in somewhat. He was a school teacher.
Yes.
So he didn't really interact in goals that much. When he did come in there and train, it was always like in and out.
Yes.
He worked more on his posing and goals.
Yes. Yeah. You're 29 now. You have 18 years of lifting. You got 20-inch arms. You got a 28-inch waist. And your first workout is with Ken Waller.
I remember coming through those doors there, and I hear this big roaring voice, and it goes, "Where's this black guy from Florida?"
This is Ken.
And I said, "It's he over here, man." And he goes, "Well, I'm doing chest." And he goes straight for the 150-pound dumbbell.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at this guy like he's a nutcase.
Yeah.
He grabs those 150-pound dumbbells, he knocked out 10 reps. I did 8, 7. He went from that for another set of that. I think we ended up doing probably about 5 sets with just 150.
Was this flat or incline? Was it flat bench or incline?
Flat bench and dumbbell press.
Yeah,
That's what it was. That was a wake-up call for me because after that came Franco. Franco wanted to take me through the whole number of chins and deadlifts. From that, it was Arnold on the leg extension.
Yes.
And then it was myself and Arnold and Denny Gable on the T-roll bar, long pulley roll.
Yes.
I mean, it was just it was an incredible experience to be in the midst of people like that was actually driven and wanted to accomplish something.
I love it.
So it just made me more motivated.
Yeah.
But I still remember the moments.
So you started training with Denny Gable and Arnold, right?
Yeah, I started training with Denny Gable and Arnold at first, and then Ed Corney came in there.
Yeah.
And then we had come up with 90 days. That 90-day calendar was placed on the wall.
You were training for the Mr. World.
He was playing I was playing for Mr. World.
Yeah.
And myself and Denny Gable, and he was training for the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Myself and him and Ed Corney.
Yeah.
And we was dueling there every single day.
Yeah.
But I love it. It doesn't seem, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, did it look like that?
Yeah.
Because now it's just all built up. It's a $1 million home.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So you won the 1975 Mr.
World.
World.
I won the 1975 Mr. World and all the body part awards.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I was set to be the next cover man.
Yeah.
The one-arm bicep shot was my first cover shot.
And this is also when you got the nickname. The Black Prince of Bodybuilding.
That's when
after this show.
Come up with the name Black Prince.
Let's go to pumping iron. So before we start pumping iron, I gotta give the backstory. Behind pumping iron, it's 2 guys. It's Charles Gaines, which is that's the writer of the book, and George Butler, which is the photographer. Charles Gaines is a very accomplished writer. He actually wrote a book called Stay Hungry that was also turned into a movie that had Arnold. And after this book, he also wrote Pumping Iron, for which George Butler took the photos. Charles Gaines actually even tried to talk to Sergio Oliva to star in the movie, but whenever he would bring up Sergio, Arnold was like, no. He had nothing to do with Sergio. Here's another interesting moment when they were trying to put this whole project together for Pumping Iron, to make it into a movie. And by the way, I got many books over here, but this is Pumping Iron, the book. Best-selling book. I think it sold like 700,000 copies in the 70s.
The 70s, yeah.
And this one is signed by Ed Corney, Mr. America, Mr. Universe. This is another piece that's pretty. Yeah. Here's what happened, and I shared it with you because I'm not sure you had all the details on this. Here's how the movie got financed. Arnold was supposed to retire in 1974.
Exactly.
But he got persuaded not to retire because George Butler needed him to stay active for one more year. Arnold ended up having to train into condition for filming of Stay Hungry, which began shooting in April of 75. And it was around this time that Butler met a 28-year-old film producer, Jerome Gary.
Jerome Gary, who was instrumental in the making of Pumping Iron and often gets left out of the mix when people discuss the movie. But Jerome was the producer of the movie. And so he and George came down to Alabama to visit me while we were shooting down there. And George said, we're going to make this movie. We're trying to raise some money. We'd like to have you involved any way you want to be involved. And at the time, there wasn't much I could do to help out with it. But I agreed to write the script, which I did, and to narrate it, and to go on some of the filming part of it where George and Jerome thought I could be helpful.
And this is actually from a phone interview with Jerome Gary. So I'm just giving all the references. Jerome met George Butler at the Cannes Film Festival in Cannes, France, in 75. Butler was looking for someone to put up money to finance Pumping Iron, and Gary said he could invest $25,000 and guaranteed another $25,000 later on. And the two men would form a partnership where they would both co-produce the movie. Butler and Gary headed over to Alabama, where Arnold was shooting Stay Hungry, and according to Jerome Gary, they signed Arnold for $50,000 and 5% of the net from Pumping Iron. Yeah. And this is a lot of money for 1970s.
If you're looking at the movie Pumping Iron, most people didn't know Arnold retired after 74. George Butler had to entice him out with, George wouldn't give me the amount, Jerome Gary, who was co-produced with George, he told me they offered Arnold $50,000 and I think 5% of the cut of the film to get him to compete again. So if most of the competitors, if any of the competitors knew at that time that Arnold's being paid $50,000 to compete and then Charles Gaines is going to judge the contest, a lot of them are going to say, what the hell?
So basically, Arnold was being paid $50,000 plus 5% from the net.
The movie hadn't even been developed yet.
No, hasn't even started. Arnold is getting paid, and here's why Arnold has to win 1975. One, Charles Gaines, the writer of the book and the script of the movie, he was a judge.
I got to be a judge, an IFBB judge, and actually was one of the judges in that competition. So Wide World asked me to do some color commentary on bodybuilding for them, and did that for a while.
Yep.
In 1975 of the Olympia.
Who you think he's going to vote for?
Of course. Now, two, Arnold's paid $50K to appear in the movie.
Yeah.
He has to win. He's getting paid, and also the Olympia judge is the writer of the movie. Now, of course, the job is to clear the way for the movie to be filmed, for the story to be filmed. And actually, Arnold, we'll go back to it, we'll get to it later, asked Charles Gaines to be another time judge for him in 1980.
He showed good judgment in 1980 when Arnold asked him to come to Australia, and he said no. And I asked him, why did you say no? He said, because I knew he was going to ask me to judge, and he didn't want to be part of that one. Because he wasn't sure Arnold could win. In 75, he was pretty sure that Arnold was going to win, because then nobody else was allowed in. But in 1980, he said he wasn't sure Arnold could win. He didn't want to get caught up in that. So I thought it was good. Arnold and Maria were very angry with him for a long time.
And Charles Gaines said, no, thank you, because he knew how messed up it was.
Yeah.
So that's the setup for 1975 Mr. Olympia. It's written for Arnold. Arnold's getting paid, and the judge is the writer.
Yeah, we all signed those contracts, and in that process of signing the contracts, I took to a friend of mine named George Zachary. He took it, read it, and said, hey, you get nothing.
Wow. So non-payable contract. This sets you up.
Non-payable. This set us all up.
Everybody got the same contract.
All got the $50K.
Wow. Okay, so this is from your book. Basically, you said that you got introduced to Charles Gaines and George Butler during breakfast at the German restaurant, correct? Mm-hmm. That same night, the filming started at Arnold's house. When you are, everybody's having a good time, Arnold's introducing you, you're dancing, and then you're not drinking, and everybody's getting a little tipsy. So when the guy said, hey, nobody's gonna get paid, you stood up. He's like, hey, we need to get paid. And then you started to walk out, and you walked out with Denny Gable and your lady. And then Charles and George Butler started chasing you and be like, hey, hold on, let's take care of it. And then the next day you sign up those contracts, the fictitious contracts, the non-payable ones.
$100 a day.
So they would give you $100 a day.
Yeah.
And then you had a contract that's not worth anything.
Yeah, it was all just fraud.
Wow.
The whole thing of it. It was sad because everybody was so excited.
Yeah.
All the guys, the little players that was a part of it, that were backing him up.
Yeah.
We were also excited because we were finally be able to have a piece of money.
Yeah.
That we could feel good about ourselves and stuff like that.
Man, that's messed up.
That's messed up.
It's messed up.
It was a very painful thing for me, and to see it happen like that to the people that were supporting the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know, I still sometimes feel just sad about it because it hurt everybody.
Like nobody talks about it.
They
like many other things, nobody wants to talk about it.
I mean, if you talk about it, then you're going to be outcasted like myself in the whole situation.
Yeah.
Eddie Giuliani was really concerned about that before he passed away.
Yeah.
Because he saw what was going on. He knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And he even went to Charles Glass about it.
Yeah.
Because he was so worried about me not being able to get that little piece to come out of it in a good place with
him. I used to see Eddie. He would train every day.
He had a good heart. He was a good man.
He was a great man. The sweetest guy.
Yeah.
He was at Gold's at 4 a.m. every morning. And he would train the whole body.
Say again?
He would train the whole body.
Oh, yeah.
That was his workout. And he would never get hurt.
That was Eddie.
Eddie was awesome.
He was an awesome guy.
Next thing that happens, the Ross Warner Classic. You were in a better condition than Arnold, and it was too obvious. Like, I know at the start of the movie, you can tell Arnold is small because he still needs to get on the drugs to grow because he just wasn't in shape. And by the way, this is Arnold with Charles Gaines and George Butler.
Amazing.
Yeah. At the beginning of the filming, or somewhere middle through, this is a scene from the movie that wasn't included in the original Pumping Iron. This is you and Arnold on the beach. And I mean, just have a good look. I mean, how about the legs? I don't see much of legs on Arnold, but those legs, man, on Robby look pretty spectacular. Abs, six-pack is there. Chest, full, way fuller than Arnold, even though Arnold's famous for his chest. When we talk Arnold, we talk chest and bicep. And then arms. I mean, arms are fuller. So this is Robby on the beach, walking next to Arnold. And next thing you know, the producers tell Robby what? Robby, don't flex.
Well, that's a part of the fact, but the movie was made for Arnold. It wasn't really made for myself. I came in there, I was a distraction pretty much.
Yeah.
But I was a distraction enough, but I was a good distraction.
Yeah.
And I understood all of that. When they say don't flex, I would flex anyway.
Yeah.
Because I knew that's what people wanted to see. It wasn't me trying to not outdo Arnold, it was just me trying to be, find my place in this whole network of people.
Yes.
And I found myself, hey, I'm gonna flash what I got.
This came out later. And also another scene that's been deleted, there's a scene where even Joe Weider says, hey Arnold, don't you think that Robby Robinson can beat you?
Don't you think that anybody else has a chance to beat you like Robby Robinson?
No, come on, Joe.
So all of this has been cut out from the movie. Like all these, there's 100+ hours that we don't know where they went. Well, we know where they went. We know where they are.
Yeah, he knew that Joe Weider appreciated my physique more.
Yes.
That's what it was. And I think that was, in a sense, after him being there with Joe for all these years, was a little bit kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
So that made the whole situation worse for me.
Yeah.
Because he's going to react to me because Joe is reacting to me, and everybody's sensationalism.
Yeah.
That's what I said to myself. Yeah.
There's that thing that happened at Ross Warner's Classic when you got the biggest cheer.
It all came down in San Jose when we was after the competition was over and everybody was having a big party and everything. We was all in there dancing, and here's I'm a black guy. You're not dancing with no white women.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could even think that would even be possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then they was filming all of this, and then the process of Arnold comes in the room, down with the blacks. And he kept black in this and black. I started looking around. I'm the only black in the room. So I just walked out, went to my hotel room, went to sleep.
Wow.
And I remember hearing Joe Weider say, Arnold, stop that. Stop that. And as he was saying it, I was already walking out of the room. The reason he did that was because of the fact I had got up and walked out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he went to Eddie Giuliani and said, some pretty nasty things.
Yeah.
That's about the third time he's walked out of my house, but I had done that on several occasions.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really want to get caught up in all of that.
Yeah.
I'm straight, as I say, I was from the swamps. I didn't know anything about having to button my lip or not say what's on my mind. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, is that a freedom of speech?
No, screw your freedom.
But I wasn't aware of that. I grew aware of that after they kicked me out of the organization.
Robby, you were so ahead of your time. You were speaking your mind, and you were speaking the truth. That's ahead of time.
Yeah, I was ahead of my time. Yeah, you normally go in there, you have to button your lips, and it didn't hit on me until after I was out of and had gone to move to Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to understand that, and then when I came back in I think I came back like 1983 or something like that, and start competing again. So I had a whole nother career again.
Yeah.
And then at that point, by this time, they were giving contracts out.
Yeah.
And so I think I got a contract about paid $6,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
It lasted 4 months.
Yeah.
So while I went to Europe to work and do exhibition, Joe Weider called me up and said, your contract has been canceled.
So, but this happened during that new league that was started.
Exactly.
The WBF, I believe.
The WBF.
And he gave, so now Weiders losing athletes because everybody's defecting to his league.
Yeah.
And Tom Platz was running that whole deal.
Yeah.
And he was losing bodybuilders left and right.
Left and right.
Gary Stridham.
Yeah.
They were supposed to get even Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
So now the guy that never gave you a contract finally goes, Robby, here's a contract after I don't know how many years, because he don't want to lose any more people.
Exactly.
And then the moment WBF disbanded, he's like, Robby,
he canceled me out. Seriously.
No more contract.
It blew my mind because I had signed the contract for 2 years.
Yes.
It's a 2-year contract, $6,500. And all of a sudden, in the first 4 months of the contract, January, February, March, April, it was canceled.
So after the Ross Warner Classic and the apartment incident with the payment, Arnold started to train by himself, right? He stopped training with you and Denny Gable because he was being filmed by himself.
After Ross Warner Classic, everybody was talking about Robby Robinson. And in that sense, nobody was, showing him any attention or paying. Everything was all about Robby Robinson, this new black guy from Florida, and everybody was on top of me now. Everybody was talking about me.
Yeah.
And I think in a sense of him, he was like on his last Mr. Olympia, he was the guy.
Yes.
One of the Weider's top guy.
Yes.
So all of a sudden this black guy's coming in and now there's a whole nother different kind of attention.
Yes.
And he didn't like that. I can understand that.
Yeah.
In a sense. But at the same time, it's all about competition, competitiveness. I mean, you have to stand up and be able to talk the talk and walk the walk.
Of course.
You have to be able to.
There's a list of bodybuilders that got outcasted in a way. It's almost like it was a cancel culture back in the day. Denny Gable stood up for you that night.
Oh yeah, that was a very hurtful thing to see him having to go through that, because his overall money went from $400 a month to $250 a month. He couldn't live off that. His wife was a stewardess, I think, for Eastern Airlines at that point. And I mean, if he couldn't pay his part and she couldn't pay her part, then she left. And him with everything.
So then eventually he
ended up pretty much on the street.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a bad thing for him.
So that's another one.
And then him and Manuel Perry, who actually was the stuntman, did a lot of the stunts for Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, for the Hulk. Yeah.
And in that process of all of that, then he got hooked up in there, started doing a little bit of different things.
Yeah.
Pretty soon he was completely out of it.
Yeah.
And then they got him and put him back on the flight, sent him back to Iowa because he was from Iowa.
Wow.
He was the next good-looking guy that's supposed to be in there, the next pretty boy.
I mean, he's like Clark Gable.
He's a good-looking guy.
I mean...
Yep, he had the body, the look.
Everything.
And But they did. They canceled him out.
Wow.
After that, because he stood up for me.
Yeah.
We both walked out.
Yeah.
Hey, we both needed to make money. We
Of
both
course.
young.
Yeah.
And in that process, we stood up and we did what we thought was right.
Yeah.
And Charles Danny and George Butler came out there and got us. He said, "Oh, we'll get that. We'll give you guys some money."
Yeah.
It's $100 a lot. So everybody felt better, but from that point on, then it was downhill.
Yeah. But, you know,
Because he had a Weider contract, $400 a month.
When you're doing the right thing against the power, which in this case is Joe and Arnold, things don't end well, especially back in those days.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad scene. He ended up going back to Iowa, becoming a preacher.
Yeah.
And eventually had a heart attack.
Wow.
Died young, 50s or something like that. It took a toll on him because he was definitely supposed to be the next great.
Yes.
Yeah. Tall guy.
Time to go to Africa. South Africa, Pretoria.
Oh, please.
Mr. Universe and Mr. Olympia. You were on the Team USA for the Universe. Denny Padilla was the lightweight. You were the middleweight. And then there was supposed to be a pose down between Ken Waller and Mike Katz for the heavyweight.
I was the short class. Robbie was the middle class. Mike Katz and Ken Waller were supposed to have a pose down in the room the night before, and that guy would represent the heavyweight. So I'm participating in all this stuff in Pumping Iron, photo sessions, all this crap.
Did they film you a lot of golds also with the cameras, the Pumping Iron?
Yeah, we were all there. I was filmed a lot, but I got taken out a lot because it was an embarrassment to the IFBB.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I was stupid. I should have sued. I would never have to work again.
George Butler said, why don't you let the little guy out and let's have the big guys? Because that was suiting the story. So they wanted to do the Pumping Iron story over whoever was the best man on stage.
Basically,
So they take out Denny Padilla because there was a story with a t-shirt between Mike Katz and Ken Waller. So Denny's in top shape, Mr. USA, and tell him, hey, take the little guy out. And let's have these guys because they suit the movie better. So he said in the magazine a few years later, he found out that George Butler was the one that took him out.
Took Danny out.
Took Danny out because the storyline wasn't good enough, even though they filmed him also in Pumping Iron. They're like, take the little guy out.
What they did was the morning of the show, I was told you're not competing. The morning of the show. I was eating breakfast, getting ready to get on the bus. And they said, well, you know, you're not going to compete. I said, what do you mean I'm not going to compete? I'm on the team.
Yeah.
And nobody would explain it to me. So I went to Oscar State. And of course, at the time, I blamed Ed Jubenville, who was the coach of our team. He was our coach.
Right.
Every team had a coach. And he never came to me. So for years, I blamed the poor guy. And I come to find out later that it was Butler who said, why don't you let the little guy stay out and we can have Ken Waller and Mike Katz in the back, you know, fighting for the position.
Yeah,
and
that
they
was
threw me out.
part of the movie. Yeah, right.
So it was basically Pumping Iron did that.
Wow.
So when I went to Ben Weider, I said, Ben, what's going on here? And he's like, what do you mean? You got to take it up with the management. I don't know what's going on. I said, you're the president. You got to know everything.
Right.
And he said, that's just the way it's effing is.
And here's Denny. Denny was a beast.
Amazing.
Danny was a beast. Look at this guy.
Oh, Danny was built.
Danny was.
He had the best physique for a short man I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, you guys competed against each other at the Night of Champions. That was quite the battle.
Yep. But he was supposed to compete, but they wouldn't let him compete.
Yeah.
So interesting, that whole thing. Great physique, though. There was nobody like Danny.
So that's another one. So there's Denny Gable, Denny Padilla.
Yeah. Start taking people out.
There's so many. Here's another one. I'm just going to mention him briefly.
Kal Szkalak.
He's coming next, but next one is Dennis Tinerino. This is again Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors. Dennis Tinerino was in top condition and he won the IFBB Pro Mr. Universe that was promoted by Franco Columbu. And in a meeting with some of the bodybuilders and the Pumping Iron crew, he interjected on the involving storylines surrounding Lou Ferrigno and Arnold. And he said, hey, wait a minute. I'm the current Mr. Universe winner. Why not showcase me against Arnold training to win his Olympia title and Lou? And then after winning his 1975 Mr. Universe contest, he received notice from the federation that he's been stripped of the title through disqualification for competing in NABA a couple of years ago. So there goes another one. They're like, oh, you're speaking too loud? Oh, you competed a few years ago. you're out. So Dennis is out.
They can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want. Man, this list keeps growing. This freaking movie is a not just documentary, it's a drama. Next, Serge Nubret. You know Serge, you competed against Serge. So
Serge had an incredible physique.
Insane physique.
Physique.
I would say the best three physiques of that era. I mean, it's you, Serge, Sergio.
He was a great poser.
So here's the story about Serge. The pumping iron says he was a late entry.
An unexpected entry in the tall class of the Olympia contest. Serge Nubret, 41 years old, 6 feet, 200 pounds. Mr. France, and a movie and television star in Europe.
He wasn't a late entry.
No, he wasn't.
He was re-entered into the contest the night of the contest.
This contest, I was in very, very good shape 12 days before. And when they saw me, the day after, they told me, you cannot compete. They did not tell me why. So I stopped training. I stopped dieting for 12 days. I lost 12 pounds. And then the day before the pre-judging, they told me, okay, Serge, you can compete.
So basically what happened was, 2 weeks prior to the Olympia, Nubret got crossed out from the list. Reason being, well, there are a couple of stories, but Ben Weider accused him of being in a porn movie.
Yeah, wrong.
He wasn't in a porn movie, it was an erotic movie.
Ben's rendition is that he told Serge a couple weeks ago he can't compete because he was involved in these films. Ben's rendition doesn't make any sense. Now, the other side, Serge Nubret's side, and there's another person I spoke to who wanted to remain anonymous. Serge told them that Ben approached Serge and asked him to drop out because if he dropped out, he would make sure he got all the fairness and all the promotion for next year's Olympia. In fact, it almost guaranteed him a win.
Ben approached Serge because he was in top shape and basically told him, hey, why don't you compete next year? We'll give you all the promotion and we'll give you the title of Mr. Olympia 1976.
Yeah.
Because he was dangerous. He was in good condition.
Mm-hmm.
And Serge was like, I've been training for this all year long. I'm not going to get out.
Yeah.
So they take him out 2 weeks prior. This is how he looks. He looks
awesome.
great. I mean, full, vascular.
Yeah. Everything.
And
Deeply
then
separated.
Everything. Look at us, that waistline and the abs.
Yeah.
And then for 2 weeks, he got depressed. He stopped eating because he was crushed. And then the night before, they're like, okay, you can compete now. And look at the difference. That's the Serge that delivered against Arnold.
If you looked that good 12 days before, why did you change anything? Why lose 12 pounds?
No, because I was so annoyed about what they said, you know? You know, when you have been training for 3 months for the contest and you come to the country that tell you cannot compete, I stopped eating, I stopped training, I could not eat for 12 days. And I never went to the gym. I went to the gym only the first day when I arrived in South Africa. I never went to the gym again. The day of the contest, Arnold was better than me. But 12 days before, no way. I was 212 and Arnold was 220. I was ripped. And you know, after 12 days not dieting and not training, how many muscle you lost, right? So when I went to the contest, I was 200 pounds. So Arnold beat me. But 12 days before, no way. He could not beat me.
And he still got second place ahead of Lou Ferrigno, even though he dropped 12 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
12 pounds of muscle, and he still beat Lou. So that's another one that went down. Basically, they cannot have anyone go against Arnold because they have a storyline with Arnold and Lou. Arnold's getting paid $50K, and then they filmed Serge. They filmed him in France.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is footage even with him. He asked for $1,000 and rights to the movie, and they said no.
Serge, so let me ask you this. You would go on to take second place to Arnold. Allegedly, as the story goes, you wouldn't sign the release for them to use more footage of you in pumping iron. Is that true?
Yeah. They come to Paris to shoot me, to show me how I train. They come to the gym. My wife was waiting, my daughter, Karine, and then everything was perfect. Okay? So they shoot everything. And, you know, before that, I did about 15 movies before, big screen movie. And then they wrote me a letter to say, okay, Mr. Nubret, your part is very good, you know. we don't have a lot of money, we can give you $200, okay? If they will tell me, we don't have money, we cannot pay you, you know, that won't be an insult. That will be, say, okay, no problem, okay? But offer me $200, that was really an insult for me. And I said, no, I don't want that. This is why they cut all the thing about me. And they said, the last entry Serge Nubret, but they come to Paris 1 month before to film me. So they knew I was going to compete.
And so basically what happened was he got second, he had a chance, and next year Serge started a new organization, WABA, and his status went from a suspension to expulsion for life. So he was gone. So there goes another guy. And basically, you know, the Weiders did whatever is good for business. It's like they love bodybuilding, but it's all about business. So you're not part of the storyline, you're out. Exactly. And he was actually a vice president of the IFBB. He was second man after Ben Weider.
Exactly.
And they still cut him out. So, Robby, in 1975, you won your group, the middleweight.
World,
that year in South Africa, Ken Waller won the universe, right?
He won the heavyweight class, I won the middleweight class.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who won the short class.
And you had to wait another year to win the universe in order to compete to the Olympia.
Exactly.
Yeah. 1976, you got universe against Mike Mentzer. And even though Mentzer was a Weider boy.
Oh, yeah.
And then you went against Zane in 77. And Zane won, but guess who was the promoter? Arnold.
Arnold. Oh, yeah.
And Zane was a Weider boy.
They weren't going to set it up in the sense that I could be Mr. Olympia. They had already told me that you'll never be Mr. Olympia.
78.
That was already in my brain cell. They already had told me that up front.
Yeah.
You'll never be Mr. Olympia.
Next year, 78, you win Night of Champions.
I will never be Mr. Olympia.
Then you go to the Olympia, same thing. Arnold promoting it, Zane got first.
Exactly. It's a business. I mean, a person can hamper your career like that.
Yeah.
That's what you call power.
Yeah.
He had the power. We them allowed that to happen. Or I guess in a sense to get back at me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
My being outspoken. They just let it go the way it was going.
Yeah.
It's that way to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the union. This is something that you mentioned in your book, and it's almost like impossible to find any information about the bodybuilding union. I did my research, and I found that one issue of Muscle Builder. This is December of 1978, and there is one page inside here. So the meeting happened in Santa Monica at the Holiday Inn. And basically, you guys wanted to create a support system for the bodybuilders.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to get a piece of money that the IFBB was using us to make money.
Yes.
But they wasn't willing to give any money to the bodybuilders.
Yes.
And we all thought that was not so nice. So the younger guys were coming in and want to make changes, but they didn't want to have nothing to do with it. So they had the big meeting. All the people at the meeting all walked in, kissed Joe Weider, da-da-da-da-da, said something, and walked out. That was no union.
Yeah, there won't be no union. That was the meeting.
Union. That's exactly what they said.
So let me break this down a little bit.
Everybody was looking at each other like, wow.
Yeah, what just happened? So
there was no power.
You went in there to create a union, and then this article, it's written by the editors, and the editors are, of course, Ben Weider and Joe Weider. They said that Robby Robinson gives a vote of confidence to the IFBB. Then again, they can write whatever they want.
Write whatever they want. It's their magazine.
And then the whole world reads whatever they wrote.
Exactly. And other people going to read that and say they nicked it.
Yeah.
But they didn't nick it because there was never any meeting to happen to become a reality.
So here comes the Muscle and Smoke and Mirrors book. And here is the story about the union. This is in a deposition from Joe Weider testifying in favor of Ken Spragues, the owner of Gold, against Arnold. And this is what Joe Weider says. Joe mentioned where he believed that Arnold may be using Kal Szkalak in attempt to unionize the bodybuilders. This is what Joe says. I think he's using Kal as a front person. I think he's the president of the Professional Bodybuilder Federation that they're trying to form From what I gather, there are bodybuilders who went to the meeting with Arnold is behind, and he's using Kal. And this is from the lawsuit case, Golds versus Schwarzenegger. Kalman was one of the bodybuilders that left Golds. He went to World with Arnold. And then, unfortunately for Kal, Arnold did not reciprocate loyalty when Kal went head-to-head with Ben Weider. Schwarzenegger came in half an hour late. Here's another page of that. So you see Joe Weiders there, there's Kal, there's Robby on the bottom right, there's Arnold top left, Bill Pearl. Everybody's there.
Oh, yeah.
At this time, Arnold was butting heads with the Weiders. And Ben Weider saw the union as an opportunity, as a means to put Arnold in place. So Arnold arrived at the meeting in August, 30 minutes late. He saw that it wasn't going well. He went over to Ben Weider, whispered something into his ear and left. And Rick Wayne, he wrote in Muscle Wars, and Ben Weider told him that Arnold simply whispered, "Don't forget my birthday party that night."
Yep.
So Arnold, in a way, set everybody up to see who's for the union, including Kal and everybody else. So these are the guys that won union. Here they are on a plate. And come to my party tonight, and you deal with it. And then Ben says, there won't be no union.
Exactly. That's all there was to it.
And what happened with that? Remember the union they were going to start in 1978 in the summer?
Well, we were trying to start a union.
Kal's the head of that, right?
Yeah, Kal Szkalak was involved. And we tried to get everybody together, but somehow Joe Weider got a hold of the information. We had like 2 or 3 meetings. Somebody inside there gave us up. And because even Arnold was interested in the union. He wanted the union.
That's what I heard. Yeah, Arnold was part of it.
We all wanted the union, and somebody inside there gave us up. And we never knew who it was. And basically Joe said everybody's checks will be cut off, and you'll be suspended from the IFBB.
Nothing really came out of all that time, and energy wasted, and they were in control. It was their magazine. They could write and say and do behave in the way they want.
You know, another thing is, at this time, Kal was coming up in popularity. He kept winning. He won the universe. He was next in line to be a popular bodybuilder. He had that big chest, big bicep, and Arnold saw him as a potential risk to capture the public attention. So in a way, he set up Kal to fail. And
that was, it's not funny, because the thing that's very hurtful is to see everybody's career being
ruined,
just ruined. Because of your behavior or how you act. You're a grown man. I mean, you talk about the thing. There was no reason to suspend or fine any of those people. Kal or myself. But that was just what they had to do. They had the power. If you got the power.
So then Kal basically,
the way you want.
He had an argument with Joe about payment over his pictures, and then he gets suspended.
I witnessed the famous Kal Szkalak incident with Joe Weider. Kal was a real straight shooter. Joe would like to make promises he never intended to keep. You know, in fact, he even told me, and I was nothing in terms of like being a bodybuilder. Joe would say, if you keep up the training, I'm going to give you $50,000 and put you on the cover of the magazine. And I guess he'd made a few promises to Kal. You know, I think he felt like Joe was saying all this stuff, and the stuff wasn't forthcoming, whatever that was. So one day, Kal Szkalak, he's wearing like an Adidas tracksuit, and he comes storming in, and he's got he's red-faced and angry. And he started yelling at Joe. They had a few words like "you're not keeping your promises," that sort of thing. I'm there with Joe. I'm witnessing this whole thing. And then Kal made a beeline into this little room adjacent, which was the photo library. So Kal scoops up all the S's, like his stuff, as well as all the Arnold photos and a bunch of other guys, the Zane photos and the Rick Wayne photos. And he comes running back through the studio to make a getaway. And Joe says, "You're not getting away with those." And he stood right there and stood his ground. And Kal ran into him like a rhino charging and just bam, hit him, like sent Joe flying, sent a bunch of the photos flying across the room. But Kal quickly scooped up the ones on the floor, and he grabbed his armfuls and then went down the back stairs again and got in his car and zoomed off. And a few days go by and kind of heads cool. And I got word from Kal, you can meet me in the parking lot of the Santa Monica airport and I'll hand over the photos to you. I take them back to Joe the next day, and I never quite knew how it was resolved, but I think Joe ended up having to pay Kal some money and to make him go away.
Exactly.
And that was the story with Kal. There goes another one.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting through it. I mean, that's quite the list. I have a couple more. Next one in line is Mike Mentzer. So here's a story that I just discovered. 1980 Mr. Olympia was supposed to be Pumping Iron 2. And George Butler was there to film it. And Mike Mentzer talks about it in an issue of Muscle Digest. But things didn't go as planned. Arnold wasn't counting that everybody would be in top shape. The movie was supposed to be called The Comeback. And it was supposed to be a story between Arnold and Tom Platz. And even Tom Platz talks about in Muscle Training Illustrated about this. Here are the two articles. We'll start with Donald Wong's Muscle Digest from December 1980. When Muscle Digest asked about the CBS coverage, Mike Mentzer replied, Arnold's tactics and those of his handlers was very disruptive. He had Franco Columbu coming on stage during the prejudging to give Arnold fresh oil and a towel. This is ridiculous. At one point, Arnold actually took Franco to the middle of the stage and introduced and made quips and anecdotes. Can you imagine during the boxing match, one of the boxers stopping their course of events to bring a friend in the ring and start making jokes just to get attention? They were also filming for the movie Pumping Iron 2 with George Butler. Arnold was obviously hamming it up, and the other competitors were just bit players, clowns, foils in his act, and I didn't particularly like it. No other sport do you see this happen. All of these lead up to Arnold winning. Perhaps it was the presence of George Butler and his filming crew making Arnold look like a big superstar and everybody else as a bit player that caused the judges to see him in a different light. Then Muscle Digest asked, are you sure they were filming Pumping Iron 2? And Mentzer replied, oh yeah. George Butler was there and he told everybody what he was there for. The other article is from Muscle Training Illustrated, issued in August 1983. When Platz was asked about the movie he made with Arnold while in Australia during the 1980 Mr. Olympia, Tom Platz replied, yes, I was chosen to be in a film starring Arnold called The Comeback. Keith Lofley put the idea together about Arnold playing a retired physique champion and about his struggle to make a competitive comeback against bodybuilding's current champion, played by me. It's my understanding the film is now finished and the producer is looking for a distributor, so maybe we'll all get to see the movie soon. Arnold came back in 1980 pretty much for ego, to beat Frank Zane, Mike Mentzer, and to protect Joe. Frank Zane, after he won his third Mr. Olympia, he told Arnold that it felt so good, almost as good when he beat him in 1968.
In 1979, I'm walking off his coated hair and his tuxedo, and he says, Schleich, does it feel to win Mr. Olympia for the third time? And I said, Arnold, it feels even better than when I beat you for Mr. Universe. And it made it on ABC. He was so pissed off, he called me on the phone and he's screaming at me. How could you, talk against me, blah. I said, Arnold, you have a great sense of humor when the joke's not on you.
That's one. Then Mike Mentzer, he has the HIT system that's getting popular, and it goes against the high volume from Arnold.
Exactly.
So Arnold doesn't like to be criticized or challenged, and Mike criticized and challenged in a way because of HIT, heavy duty. Mike was also, in a way, next in line for Mr. Olympia. And he was also a senior editor at Muscle and Fitness, which used to be Muscle Builder. If Arnold wins, that's also good for Joe Weider.
Yeah.
His equipment, his supplements. Mm-hmm. So you have this perfect storm, and Arnold did not enter Mr. Olympia 1980 until the night before, where he knew all the judges were on his side. He entered last minute, and during the posing rounds, one of the judges was asking him to do the mandatories, or he would be disqualified. Like, he would say, hit the side tricep, and he would do the mantis pose, and Frank Zane overheard, Arnold, you're disqualified. Well, guess what happened to that judge? That judge got fired later on, and they put another one that's in favor of Arnold.
I saw Arnold do the same thing in the 80 Olympia. He wasn't doing the compulsory poses, and the head judge said, Arnold, he says, look, do the compulsory poses or we're going to disqualify you. And Arnold just kept doing what he wanted to do. The guy's name was Dennis Staller, I remember, from Wales. Says to him, he says, Arnold, you're disqualified. Get off the stage.
Really?
So he did get off the stage, and that night, Stallard was fired, and they sent him back to England.
Wow, no kidding. I didn't know that.
See,
wow,
so that's the
crazy.
lesson there. When you're a favorite like that and you're in cahoots with the organizers, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
All of this happens. Everybody is in top shape at that Olympia. Arnold had no legs. He showed up with chest and bicep, and he still got perfect score. He got 300 score in 1980. He wins his 7th Mr. Olympia. I mean, it just goes to show how the system works.
Coming through the ranks was not a good experience for me.
Yeah.
But I stuck with it because I wanted to not allow that whole situation to take away something I really love to do and enjoy doing.
Yeah.
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 You gotta be a fighter.
Yeah. You gotta. You
gotta suffer a little bit sometimes.
You
to
never
get to the
stop.
next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the bodybuilders signed a petition to boycott the next year, and 1981. And guess who won 1981? Franco Columbu.
Exactly.
And it was
that was to be expected. He had, he had to go out a winner.
Yeah, he had to go out. And that Olympia was promoted by Arnold.
Yep, of course. It was to be like that. He had to go out a winner.
Yeah.
Franco Columbu, best chest, best back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about last time the supplement that you and Franco promoted in the Muscle Builder. It was the protein formula. Let me find it. So there was the ad, you and Franco promoting protein right here. Now, interesting, 1977, Franco releases a book. The book is called Winning. And in the book, Franco says that I do not believe in protein powder because it usually has high carbs and sugar. Well, he says that in his book, goes on to become Mr. Olympia. You go on to respond to a fan that sent you a letter, and he's asked you, hey, Robby, do you use Weider supplements?
I just thought it was a normal thing. You got this 13-year-old fan.
Yes.
And the kid sends me a letter and asks me, Mr. Robinson, do you use Weider supplements? And I said, no. And right after that, I got this notification that Robby Robinson has been suspended for 2 lifetimes plus 20 years.
Like 1 lifetime is not enough, 2.
2 lifetimes. 2 lifetimes plus 20 years.
Wow.
And my whole self fell apart because I'm thinking, what have I done?
Yeah.
And then I found out that the kid had sent the letter back to the Weider office.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Weider had confronted and called Ben Weider, who was the president of the IFBB, and they had posted a letter in the magazine, Robby Robinson has been suspended from the IFBB for life. Nobody used it.
Yes.
Arnold didn't use it, Franco didn't use it. Nobody used the Weider supplement. I mean, it's 90% of it was sugar.
Yes.
So nobody really took it. If you used it, no disrespect to the company, to the business people.
Yes.
It's totally diuretic effect.
Yes.
I'm talking about diarrhea effect along with that. Your body couldn't maintain it. It was sad that situation happened with me because I spoke out about it. But it was just a true fact. I never used the product. And I was stunned because I was thinking, wow, I can't go back home and tell people what happened because they're going to look at me like I'm stupid. They're going to say, hey, well, didn't you know that already?
Yeah.
Didn't you know already they're not going to let no black man win no competitions or be on no cover of no magazine? I mean, you should have already known that. I had to stand my ground.
Of course.
And fight the whole war.
No, it's just interesting how Franco says, I don't believe in protein powder. He's promoting it and goes on to become Mr. Olympia. And you said, no, I don't use it. And you get banned.
Yeah. Well, that was all because, I think they needed something bad to happen. They wanted me to be that person that something bad would happen to. Because then it makes bodybuilding look as if they're taking care of itself. When I used to go out to the office to do articles for Muscle Magazine, one of the things that Rick Wayne reminded me of, he said, I got a drawer full of letters.
Yeah.
I had drawers full of hate mail on his drawer. Yeah.
Wow.
Sending boy back to Africa, send that, so and so and so and so. A lot of profanity was used in the language because here's this black guy speaking up. You should be quiet. That's basically what they want you to do. They want you to shut up, be happy that you are able to live here.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think of it that way. I thought in terms of like, hey, this is racism. This is not right. How can you do this? But because they had the power and the money, here I am, up and coming, you know, trying to make a living at it. They could treat you in the way they like.
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Wow.
As I say, I communicate with you a lot, and one of the things that has really hit me hard this time around, because of the podcast and everything, and everybody talking about the situation, the Weiders contacted me online.
Yeah, you
I was
showed me
shocked.
that.
I didn't know how to react to it. I still haven't replied to that whole situation.
50 years later.
50 years later, now you want to, what they call it? They want to collaborate with me.
Yeah.
How can you collaborate with me after 50 years? Why could you should just say, call me, Robby, if you want to solve that problem.
Yeah, after using your...
come and say, hey, listen, that was wrong. We deserve it. Maybe we should just try to clear this up. Is there a way we can just smooth all of this over? But they want me to come to them online. I'm not going to do that.
50 years later, they come to your
come
Instagram.
To me 50 years later, the Weiders come to me 50 years later and say, hey, let's collaborate. What I think is, why not collaborate with me back then?
Yeah.
But see, that wouldn't have looked good because Arnold was the boy. I wasn't.
And they're still using your image, your likeness.
They're still using that image.
Yeah.
They'll call me and say collaborate, but you're still using my image.
Wow.
Mind-blowing to me.
That's insane. Let's go to 1994, Masters, Mr. Olympia. Like, you were where? You were in Norway. You weren't even in the States.
I was in Norway, working out, traveling and doing exhibitions and seminars throughout the Scandinavians in Germany, Holland, European community. And I got over there and I stayed in Norway for like almost 2.5, 3 years. I was moving out a lot more then at this point. And then I got this message from my friend, his name was Houston.
Yes.
Houston was a Norwegian guy. He was a bodybuilder too.
Yes.
Him and I used to work together. He said, well, Robby, Wayne DeMille wants you to contact him. They're having a Masters Mr. Olympia. He wants you to call him. So I went on and called Wayne and everything. He said, yeah, we're having a Masters Mr. Olympia. Come on. And so I started training that day for the competition. I didn't know when it was. Then there was a day he came out with the time of it.
Wow.
I don't know. I just felt that this was the last go-round.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in there and I'm going to win it, and that's going to be the end of it. But then when I got there, I realized that it was pretty much another setup.
Robby Robinson, 210 pounds, 5 feet 9 inches, 48 years old, a surprise entry who has come from Oslo, Norway, to compete in this year's competition. Robby believes he can beat Lou and Boyer for the overall title.
An unexpected entry in the tall class of the Olympia contest. Serge Nubret, 41 years old, 6 feet, 200 pounds. Mr. France, and a movie and television star in Europe.
Because they needed to sell tickets, there was no tickets being sold. So when they found out that Robby Robinson was competing, he had to sell out.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I say, I sold tickets and I sold magazines. I knew that. The ladies made me all aware of all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this whole 1994 Masters Miss Olympia was another version of Pumping Iron. They were filming a movie for Lou called Stand Tall. He was the main character.
Yeah.
And there was also Boyer Co.
Yeah.
And you're nowhere in the movie because they weren't planning on you winning. So they're following Lou and Boyer.
And Boyer Co.
They made a whole movie about it.
Yeah.
But the problem was Lou did not have the support from the system that Arnold had back in the day. It wasn't the same situation. And this is the reason why it didn't work out for him.
Yeah, but the thing of it was in that whole situation was that Lou had signed a contract to do the movie called The Airplane.
Yeah.
This airplane was supposed to crash, and Lou was supposed to come in there and save the day.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the beginning of a whole new Pumping Iron, a whole new bodybuilding.
A whole new career.
Lou was a whole
he was a new movie star.
Lou was supposed to take over where Arnold was now starting to slide out and retire.
Yes.
So Lou came in there in his best shape that he could get in. And I think the winning edge came down to when they brought us out and Lou, they must have told Lou that he had on too much color.
Yeah.
because he was trying to match my dark skin with his dark skin under the lights. And then that process of, darkening the skin, the stuff start to run.
Yeah, because of sweating.
Melt, like your boy, Giuliani.
Yeah.
The Deloitte, it started to run on him. And then once it starts to run, then it kind of looked blotchy.
Yeah.
So it made his physique look blocky.
Wow.
You streaked all over here and your back. Look at the chest here. We gotta get all that shit off. We got time to work on it. 2 hours. It's streaked. And look, when you turned around, you can see the blotches running here. See, it's all blotched.
They brought us out. They kept me away from him on the end, him over here.
Yeah.
And so at the very end, I kind of said, come on. I got out of the line and took it to Lou.
The moment they say pose down.
Yeah, the minute they say pose down, I took it to Lou because I knew that it had to be between myself and Lou.
Yeah.
A third person, Boyer Cole. I knew Boyer Cole would be in the mix because he was in great shape. Pretty much everybody was in great shape, to be honest with you. Really, everybody was in great shape. And then when it came us all out, and we were doing the pose down, everybody, it was screaming. It was pandemonium. I mean, it was just like you was finding something back in the Roman gladiator time period.
Yes.
To hear all the noise, it was just defying.
Yeah.
And the head judge came out and said, ladies and gentlemen, the first Masters Mr. Olympia, 1994. Everybody in the audience goes, Woo! Robby Robinson. And I says, yes, yes. Yeah, that was the end of it for me.
Wow.
I knew from that point on, I had one. They said I would never win a Mr. Olympia title, but then to finally win one,
wow,
that was the end of the story.
Wow.
For me. I would ease myself out, and I competed probably another 3 or 4 times in the over.
Yeah.
I'd be over 50, and then I faded myself.
Yeah. So pictures were taken. Like that's a picture from him holding that's the title with the medal, and he's doing promotion for protein powders. He's already in all the magazines.
Yeah.
It's like it's all lined up. He's got supplement sponsors. He's in the magazine. It's all printed.
Weider gave him a contract for 2 years. I think it was 2.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Winning, I got nothing. There was no contact with me. I didn't do any articles. There was no cover shot. The winner normally get a cover shot. I didn't get no centerfold shot. I didn't get nothing. Nobody heard from me. Nobody called me. Nobody said anything.
There's moment in the movie of Stand Tall where Lou goes, they better not give it to anybody else.
Yeah.
He's like panicking. Yeah. But they did. They gave it to Robby.
Gave it to somebody else.
They better not give it to somebody else.
And I think that really had a huge effect on him because what they were doing, Joe Weider was using him as the guy to promote all of the products at this point because they already had him to be in Miss Olympia.
Yeah.
He was already the Masters Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
In the paper and all that stuff, in the contract. And when they say Robby Robinson, all the European promoters had him on the covers already.
Wow.
He was already on the covers, centerfold. Everybody was like, having Lou invited him back to exhibitions and seminars. That's normally what the winner gets.
Yes.
I got nothing.
Now, tell him what happened for people who don't know, that were watching this for the first time. You got a check that night, the winner's check for $25,000. What happened?
They gave me the winner's check. This is no disrespect. I got the winner's check, and the winner's check, Lou Ferrigno's name was still on that check. So I walked over to Wayne. I said, Wayne, my name is not Lou Ferrigno. He said, what? I said, Lou's name is on this check. And he took the check and came back later to my room and gave me the check that Robby Robinson, $25,000. I kept it for a long time before I even cashed it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because I didn't know if it was real. I thought it probably bounced or crashed.
Wow.
But I kept it for a while before I cashed it.
So there it is, first Masters Mr. Olympia. So let's talk about Gold's Gym. Joe Gold owned Gold's Gym from 1965 till 1970. And then he decided to sell it. And then for the next 2 years, there were 2 guys, I don't remember the names, that owned it. And then they decided to give it away and sell it. And then 1972, and this was, I believe, May, Ken Spragues buys Gold.
And Gold's Gym.
Yeah, so he has Gold's Gym until 1979. He sells it to Pete Grimkowski.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He sold it to Pete Grimkowski.
Yeah. So Ken owns Gold's starting 1972 in May. And also Joe Weider moves his headquarters to LA in June 1972. So it was a perfect timing for both of them to connect.
To connect with each other, yeah.
So
it's a lot of history.
Yeah, a lot of history. Now, Ken, nobody talks about Ken. He's not mentioned anywhere like he's not in the encyclopedia, he's not in Arnold's books. His name is nowhere. Literally. But this is a guy that was running Gold's Gym in the golden era. It's like they, in a way, they deleted his name from history. So Ken, I want to talk for a moment about Ken, because Ken was also an adult movie star.
Yeah.
He was a business genius.
Smart man.
Very smart guy. He decided to give the space of gold to anybody who wanted to shoot for magazines or movies, which was Weider's Muscle Builder or Pumping Iron. The only condition was to wear Gold's Gym t-shirt.
Exactly.
The way it was set up to promote it, I tell producers, if you need a place for gym location, come on down to Gold's. Use the facility free. Anytime you want to do a TV spot or a movie spot, you go ahead and use it. With one restriction, have to have a Gold's Gym t-shirt across the chest. And then from that point on, that propelled it into the general public.
And he was also in a pretty decent shape. I mean, this is Ken. He also competed. So this is you and Arnold wearing the Gold's Gym tank top. And just a brilliant businessman. Now, in 1976, after Arnold won his 6th Mr. Olympia, the relationship between Joe Weider and Arnold, and as well Ken, kind of soured a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Ken and Arnold had a little clash. It was a little power clash because they were both promoting shows. Ken Spragues were promoting shows, and Arnold was just getting started to promote. But at this point in time, Ken was more powerful and richer than Arnold.
Exactly.
And this did not go well with Arnold.
Arnold at that time was trying to make, of course, his name in the motion picture industry, and he wanted to market himself as the bodybuilding industry, which I can understand. And so Arnold would seem to be behind various initiatives to pull the legs out from under Gold's in the Mr. America contest.
In 1976, he leaves Gold's and helped Joe Gold start World Gym because he was promoting it. And he brought all the bodybuilders over to World's Gym.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
the only one that they didn't.
And it got pretty ugly because Ken had to take Arnold to court, and Joe Weider testified against Arnold.
Yeah.
Was Arnold Schwarzenegger sexually interested in Ken Sprague?
Objection, Your Honor.
The attorneys jumped out of their seat. Everybody around. Objection! Don't answer that question. Well, of course Arnold wasn't. Arnold's attorneys knew that. Paramount Pictures attorneys knew that. What the strategy was. At least what my attorney's strategy was. Maybe he was just asking. So Arnold wants, and it could have been just a gratuitous comment, a flippant comment. He says, Gold's Gym is an outhouse. To one of the media, it might have been an Us or People, I can't remember. I know it made the National Wire somehow, but Gold's Gym is an outhouse. I thought, this guy will stop at nothing. I sued Arnold and his employers, Gulf and Western and Paramount Pictures, down the line for defamation. You had to let your adversary know that enough is enough.
One was the Mike Douglas show and one was the Merv Griffin show. And when Arnold was on guest on both of those shows, he said that going from Gold's Gym to World Gym was like going from an outhouse to a penthouse. And that's when Ken had filed the lawsuit for slander and libel and defamation of character. Arnold, who was at that time, I believe, starting to date Maria Shriver, the Kennedy Shriver family, she had a brother, Bobby Shriver, who was a writer for a newspaper in Los Angeles called the Herald Examiner. Well, Arnold says, hey, Bobby, write these articles about, bad things about Gold's Gym, which Bobby Shriver did. That's when, Ken Sprague said, enough is enough. I'm not only going to sue Arnold, but I'm going to sue his employers, who at the time were Gulf Western, which owned Paramount Studios, because they were the ones investing in Arnold's movie career. People don't realize at one point that Arnold and Joe were on opposite sides of the fence. There was a court battle, and Joe Weider testified on behalf of Ken Sprague, because Arnold was also at that time trying to leverage another magazine called Muscle Digest against Muscle Builder. They also don't know that Arnold last trained at Gold's in 76, and I don't think he returned to a Gold's until probably maybe 5 years ago or so.
I got all the receipts. I got all the books. Like you have Arnold, Education of a Bodybuilder.
Education of a Bodybuilder, yeah.
Here's what is choosing your gym. Here's what Arnold says. The gym should be cool. That's why I like World Gym in Santa Monica. It's close to the beach and fresh ocean air. Where's Gold's?
This whole time I was thinking I had the first edition of Arnold's Education of a Bodybuilder. Well, I was wrong. I had the second. The first edition is hardcover. One of the OGs of Gold's told me that he was confused why Arnold said in his book that Gold's did not exist. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, page 92. Arnold says, perhaps it was knowledge or better food, or better you know what. If not these things, maybe it was just being surrounded by the best bodybuilders, as in Gold's Gym, now called World's Gym. Well, they're only half a mile away, but he says, as in Gold's is gone. Gold's Gym is erased. As in Gold's Gym, now called World's Gym. Gets sued by Ken Spragues. Second edition comes in, page 92. Perhaps it was knowledge or better food or you know what. If not these things, maybe it was just being surrounded by the best bodybuilders, as in Gold's Gym. So, first edition, as in Gold's Gym, now called World's Gym. Gold is gone. Second edition, as in Gold's Gym.
Arnold has two encyclopedias. The first one, 1985, the gym section. It says, if I haven't been there at World Gym with these other bodybuilders to inspire me and motivate me, I doubt that they would have ended being so productive. Most of top bodybuilders began their training somewhere else and migrated to places like World Gym. No Gold's Gym. Now, 13 years later, he's a little bit more politically correct. He releases the second edition of Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding.
Amazing.
So now he goes, the section about the gym, he says, today it's relatively easy to find a well-equipped gym. World Gym, for example, has franchises all over the US and the world. Gold's Gym has also numerous franchises. So he's mentioning it now. And then one more time, he goes, a lot of young bodybuilders this time come to train in places like World Gym or Gold's Gym. So it's interesting how he just changes the narrative. He's like, hey, I'm fighting against Ken Spragues. There's no word about yeah, but then later on World Gym closes. Well, you know, Gold's Gym was fine too. And even Charles Gaines doesn't acknowledge Ken Spragues in Pumping Iron. That's one more detail. Check this out. This is Pumping Iron, the book, and this is how they write about the owner of Gold's. He says, Gold's Gym is the other one, and it's doing fine out in Venice. The guy who owns Gold, I understand, doesn't need the money. So he basically refers to Ken, the guy that owns Gold is rich, but doesn't even mention his name.
Nope.
So where's Ken? Nobody talks about Ken. Ken was the owner of the gym at the time where everything was exploding. It was the best time in bodybuilding, and nobody talks about Ken.
Well, they kind of kept it quiet because of, you know, his notoriety and what he was doing in his personal life and the kind of person that he was. I liked him. I thought he was a funny guy.
Yeah.
Very business-like, smarter than
super smart, and also
brainy.
Yeah. So that's Ken and Arnold before they started to
change everything.
Yeah. Anyway, World Gym is gone and the Gold is still here 50 years later.
That's what counts.
Yeah. And today Arnold is back training at Gold's, but Robby's not at Gold's. I mean, I've been seeing you at Gold's for over a decade, and that's where we had our workouts together, and I haven't seen you there in the last few months. How come, Robby? Why don't I see you at Gold's Gym?
Well, to be honest, to all my fans and stuff that have been coming up and asking me that down at the pit, well, I got kicked out of Gold's Gym because I was told that I couldn't spit in the bathroom. And I thought that was kind of like, what? To myself. My lady friend was there. She was the first one to hear all of this. And she had told me point blank, you should just never go back there because that doesn't even make sense.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Good morning to you and all the people who listen to this podcast.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it is morning. So you're calling from Europe, and I'll just keep it short. Robby told me it's okay to call you and just ask what happened at Gold's Gym that day you were training with him. This was a few years ago. So if you can tell me what you remember, what happened.
Yeah, I think I was walking in the gym. It was in, 2019. And then the manager came up to us while we were going into the gym. And he said, I have to talk to you, Robby. And I think that I was asking if I can join that, or Robby asked him if I can be with this situation. And he said, yes, of course. And then we sit down at the desk of the manager. And he said that Robby cannot spit in the toilet or in the bathroom. I think he said it was a bathroom. And I was totally irritated or shocked. And it was, in a way, a short scenery. We were just sitting there and we listened to that. And I said nothing. And I don't remember Robby reacted not, how do you say? He was very quiet or...
Yeah. He was calm.
He accepted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe like me, shocked. I am not sure about it. And we said, yeah, okay. No, I remember now another thing. I think that I asked who reported that, or how do you come to that point that it was Robby? And then the manager said that a woman who is responsible for cleaning the toilets walked after Robby in the bathroom, and she reported that.
Mm-hmm. And Robby basically just, he spit in the toilet. He didn't spit on the floor.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking, because as you can maybe hear, I hope you are a little bit gentle and patient with me. English is not my, native language.
Yes.
So I'm not so perfect. I try my best. And I thought we walked out. We said, okay. And then we left the chairs and walked into the gym and did our training. And Robby said really nothing. If you know Robby a little bit longer, he is very quiet and just walks out of situation.
Yes. Yeah, he doesn't engage. He doesn't create a scene. He just keeps it quiet.
Yeah, he just say interesting.
Yeah. And this was the manager of the gym. That's it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I, because I am not so perfect in my English, I asked him, did you spit on the floor? Because I first thought that was the situation. And he said, no, it means in the toilet or in the urinal.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's all I just wanted to hear from somebody that was there what happened. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
The reason he was doing that was because of the fact it's like being bullied.
Wow.
That's what I call. Jeff has no reason to even allow himself to get involved in such stupidness. You go out and you tell that person point blank.
Now,
hey,
who's Jeff? Is Jeff?
Jeff is the manager of Gold's Gym.
Got it.
And the new person that bought Gold's Gym, Schrader,
yeah.
And him and I had almost like created a relationship there. I was supposed to fly from here and meet with his family, with my family in Germany.
This is Rainer Scheller.
Yeah, Rainer Scheller before he passed away.
Wow.
And we have yet another high-profile aviation accident when on Friday, the 21st of October, German fitness mogul Rainer Scheller and his family were lost when their chartered Piaggio P-180 Avanti II aircraft disappeared from radar contact 28 kilometers off the Puerto Limon airport off the Atlantic coast of Costa Rica. Rainer Schaller is the founder and CEO of the RSG Group, which owns European McFit fitness chain. And in 2020, Rainer was able to acquire Gold's Gym through bankruptcy during the pandemic.
He was already good and wanted to talk to me in private, and the picture that they had taken off the wall was now being placed in the third room. He had wanted to talk to me about being a part of what they were doing and put my picture in the front room where it should be. But Gold's Gym management...
With all the Mr. Olympias.
Yeah, where all the Mr. Olympias are.
Yeah.
The reason they took my picture off was because of, there were two other guys, Jake and Josh. Jake and Josh bullied me throughout my time when they were management. They always said, hey, listen, I'm looking for a reason that I can kick you out of the gym. And I said, why?
Wow.
Nobody ever gave me a reason, so I just left it alone. Wow. They were finally, I guess, moved on with their life or got out of the business. And then in there came Jeff. Yeah. And Jeff was just like ruthless.
Wow.
He constantly was hounding me. You can't spit in the bathroom, Robby. If you keep spitting in the bathroom, I'm going to kick you out of the gym.
Yeah.
I even had clients that came back from, Watertown, Tennessee. The guy brought his son out here to work with me. They was outside waiting for me to come up, and Jeff came out there and put me down to these people. There was no reason to do that.
Wow.
I mean, he's the manager. He doesn't have a right to go out there and put me down to my clients that have come here for me to work with them. They didn't pay me anything. They just he wanted his son to have a good workout. He chose me to be that person.
Yeah.
And they just kind of treated it really bad, taking the picture off the wall, putting the picture in the third room without my name being on the picture. I'm the first master of Mr. Olympia. Lou's pictures in the first room.
Yeah.
All those pictures in the first room.
Yeah.
Frank Zane.
Yeah.
Ken Waller. Everybody's in that first room where I should be. But it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, you can't stop people from being nasty. And that's what Jeff and Gold's Gym become, a nasty place.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back there. They can take my picture off the wall as much as I care. It doesn't really matter. My picture on the wall is not doing anything for me.
Yeah.
If it was making me money, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not.
So for anyone asking why is Robby not a Gold, this is why.
Because of the fact they told me that I couldn't spit in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Sad.
I mean, if you don't spit in the bathroom, where can you spit?
Where am I going to spit? I asked him several times.
Wow.
Jeff, where am I going to spit? You want me to spit on the floor?
Yeah.
So I kept spitting in the bathroom, and I guess the person who does all the cleaning would keep an eye on me in a sense, because that's what I felt.
Yeah.
I felt I was being watched.
Wow.
Whatever I do. I went in the bathroom the very last time, and a couple of pieces of paper was on the floor.
Yeah.
And he said, well, Robby, you can't come back in the gym anymore. You've been kicked out.
Wow. You know, Arnold stopped training at Gold's in 1976, and then he came back like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. So now Arnold's back, Robby's out.
Well, that's just how that whole business is a business.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure the people that have done all of this, want to kick me out of the gym and told me that I can't spit in the bathroom. I know this is going to get all over the world.
Yeah.
It makes Gold's Gym look bad. It makes Jeff look bad. He's the manager of the gym.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a right to do that.
Yeah.
I went to several law firms to complain about it. Not one law firm would take the job.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, well, it's still like it was back in the 70s.
And nobody knows. And nobody knows until this day.
Exactly, until this day.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that I've been kicked out of the gym because I was told not to spit in the bathroom.
Yeah, wow.
To me, that's, what is that?
Yeah.
I mean, what name do you put on that?
Yeah.
But I could care less, really. I'm having the greatest workouts of my life right now.
Yeah, you told me your workouts are insane.
At the Venice Pit and Exchange Fit. Exchange Fit is like the old Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah.
And a lot of people should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, come work with me in there. You can book me for a session.
Yeah, and we'll
You'll
talk
love
more about it.
Exchange Fit.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Robby, let's talk about Arnold for a minute. It seems like he's always changing the narrative, the story in his favor. It's just like Joe did with his magazines. Now Arnold does it in front of us. It's just basically he's shaping his own mythology. It's like, it reminds me of a movie. It reminds me of the movie True Lies. Like everything he does is true, but they're lies. Or at least a lot of those things. He released a documentary on Netflix last year, and he talks about all these pictures that he had on the wall back in the day. And there's a scene, he is in the room, and you have all these pictures with all these like bodybuilders and athletes and black boxers and bodybuilders. But then when I found actual pictures from back in the day, there were like 3, max 4 pictures, and it was Reg Park. There were no black bodybuilders on that wall. That's one. He basically changed the wall to make it look good for the audience. During the election, when he became a governor, he took all his pictures off the wall in gold.
Yeah.
He didn't want it to be associated with bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Career as the governor is over. Pictures are back again. Arnold is back on the wall at gold. He just changes the narrative, changes pictures are up, pictures are off. Okay, since we're talking about Arnold, I'm gonna bring out a couple of more things. I found a magazine, I actually got it on Amazon. 1977. This is an erotic magazine. It's called We.
Ooh.
And sexy.
OUI.
OUI. That's right. I had to cover her top.
Some bodies in those magazines.
Yep, I gotta be careful what I'm showing over here.
I'm telling you, really careful.
Here's what Arnold says. Now, mind you, when you have an article in Muscle Builder, it's highly edited and it's in your favor, meaning it will be changed. Here, I don't think there's much of a censorship. It comes out the way it comes out. This one talks about Arnold's adventures, and this is words of Arnold. He says, bodybuilders party a lot, and once in Gold's, the gym in Venice, California, where all the top guys train, there was a black girl who came out naked. Everybody jumped on her and took her upstairs, where we all got together. And then the magazine goes, a gangbang? And Schwarzenegger says, yes, but not everybody, just the guys who can F in front of the other guys. Not everybody can do that. So this is Arnold giving interviews.
Exactly.
The Los Angeles Times began publishing a series of investigative stories about Arnold's behavior towards women over the years, and it quoted a number of women who said they had been groped by him in one way or another. Very few would come forward.
I was a newlywed to bodybuilder Robby Robinson, and he was training in Gold's Gym in Venice, California on Pacific Avenue. I was just there watching him work out. The gym was rather full, and Arnold passed me by, and he groped my breast. It completely caught me off guard. I was just shocked.
3 days later.
A lot of these made-up stories. I've never grabbed anyone and they put up their shirt and grab the breast and stuff like that. This is not me.
You can listen to all the negativity, and you can listen to people who have never met Arnold or who met him for 5 seconds 30 years ago. Or you can listen to me. I advise you to listen to me.
Situations like the scandal that I've created that made my family split up, and it's very painful to go through that and to talk about that and to recount all the details and all that. But that's what we wanted to do. I wanted to make a book that gives a presentation to the people of the whole Arnold and not just of the good Arnold.
In this magazine, he also doesn't acknowledge Joe Weider by name. He basically says, then an American promoter wired me to come and compete in the state. So that's another time. This is 1977. This is when he was going against Joe. Him and Joe were in the best terms.
Mm-hmm. That's a heavy book. OUI.
OUI. If you want to get
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. I got it on Amazon. You can find everything on Amazon and eBay. This is all from
amazing.
Another moment. You know, I don't really read much from the Weiders, but I had to get their book for this particular thing, Brothers of Iron. And this one is actually a copy signed by Joe Weider. Even Weider has a moment with Arnold where Arnold did not basically give Joe props that he brought him to the States. And I'll read this part from Joe Weider's and Ben Weider's book. He says, Arnold was a star on the rise, and one night he appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. When Johnny Carson asked how Arnold came to America and if somebody helped him out and showed him the way to the top of the bodybuilding, I was really looking forward to hear the full story. I about fell out of my chair when Arnold said no, nobody helped him. He did it all on his own. With a perfectly straight face, he told about coming to New York City on his own dime as a tourist. Somehow, the producer of Hercules movie saw him and was very impressed, and that's how he got discovered. Hearing that cock and bull story, I felt very let down. So even Joe had his moments with Arnold when he's telling the true lies. This happened even to the guy that brought him to the States and gave him the career that he had. Another thing, on the Merv Griffin show, he got asked, who's your childhood hero? And he said, oh, it's Muhammad Ali.
Schwarzenegger is here. You know him? Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know him?
Schwarzenegger.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You said that.
Which is it?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of a
I
very.
didn't say that.
I didn't say that, Ali. We'll be back in a minute with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's his name. You. 9 minutes before 8 right now. Muhammad Ali's still with us, and also Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But he's never mentioned Muhammad Ali before. He was just wanted to please the audience. He's always said that his father figure was Reg Park. I mean, I'll pull up the book again, Education of Bodybuilder. Here it is. He says, Reg Park became my father image. I pasted his pictures on the walls of my bedroom.
Reg Park was also the person that helped him get in the movie, because remember, Reg Park played Hercules.
Yeah, of course.
Remember that?
Yeah, of course.
So he already had some foot in that already. He went in there with the people that he knew that put Arnold in that position along with Joe Weider.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he had a team of people in his.
No, the team was there. The team was in place. But then he doesn't recognize, like he goes on the show with Johnny Carson, says, I came by myself. It wasn't Joe Weider. Then he goes another show. He says, my idol childhood hero was Muhammad Ali. It wasn't Reg Park.
Yeah.
But all of his books, I mean, and we know the reality is the story is different.
But it gets even better. Joe Weider called out Arnold publicly in his own magazine, Muscle Builder, from August 1978, which is extremely rare and hard to find. Therefore, nobody today knows about this in his article called Thanks is Not a Four-Letter Word. In the article, Joe says that he normally doesn't watch TV, but when he heard that his longtime friend Jack LaLanne and Arnold would be appearing together on the Merv Griffin show, he decided to make time for it. Joe Weider continues, but what a disappointment lay in store for me. It started off well enough. Arnold came on looking very smart in slacks and a nicely cut sweater, looking most successful. Then Merv asked him a little later on, how did you get into this sport? Did someone show you the way? Who brought you to America? At last, a TV host had put the million-dollar question to bodybuilding's most successful star. It has never happened before, to my knowledge, and always when I asked Arnold why he never said a good word about Weider during interviews, he has said, because no one ever gives me the opportunity. They only ask questions that have nothing to do with my bodybuilding background. Well, now the question had been asked. I waited. Oh, Arnold said. I started back in Graz, Austria. I know, Merv interrupted, but didn't anyone help you at all, teach you anything, how to become a champion? No, said Arnold straight-faced. I have to say right out that I felt hurt, very disappointed at his answer to Merv. The world of bodybuilding knows only too well that I was instrumental in bringing Arnold to the United States and helping him become a great champion.
You know, this whole story reminds me of Lance Armstrong, you know, the cycling athlete. I'm a big cycling fan, and Lance Armstrong never got caught doping and lying until he confessed live on an Oprah show. So he never got caught using drugs. He won.
I remember Lance.
Yeah, Lance. He won 7 Tour de France. He always tested negative, and he denied it. And he never got caught. He kept passing the test.
Right.
He knew how to cheat the test, so he never got caught.
He was good at that.
He was great at it, and I feel like it's very similar with Arnold. Like, he never confessed he had a child with a maid until the kid started looking like him, and it became undeniable. By the way, we've both seen Joe at Gold's. I mean, he's a great kid, and you've taught him posing too. And I've seen him training hard and DJing some events, but that's Arnold. Like, until he gets caught, he doesn't confess anything. So to wrap it up, there is this whole list of bodybuilders that got outcasted and canceled. We had Sergio Oliva. We have Robby Robinson that is still here. He's not canceled. He's better than ever, stronger than ever.
Oh, yeah.
We have Denny Gable. We have Denny Padilla. We have Dennis Tinerino. We have Serge Nubret. We we have Kal Szkalak, we have Mike Mentzer. We forgot one guy. We also have Dave Draper. This is the guy that was at Gold's before Arnold. This is the pre-Arnold. Dave Draper was called the Blonde Bomber. And it's a sad story because he didn't get paid for the usage of his images, just like you, Robby. It's and then when eventually he decided to sue Weider, and I'll go one last time to the Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors book. Here's what happened. Dave Draper was finished with the competitive aspect of the sport, and in 1972 he sued Weider for unlawful use of his image. The case dragged on for 3 years, and Draper took $17,500 settlement from Joe instead of allowing the verdict to play out, where most likely he would have received substantially more. Although Dave and Joe did settle, the judge presiding over the case requested the verdict for the record, and the jury had ruled in Dave's favor. They were also planning on awarding him for punitive damages an amount of $892,000. He would almost get $900,000, almost $1 million, if he would have said, I don't want to settle, let's carry on. But instead he settled with Joe Weider. He got $17,000 and he disappeared from the bodybuilding scene.
Yeah.
So there's another one.
Yeah, he moved from Los Angeles back up.
Was it Santa Cruz or Santa Clara?
Something like that.
Yeah, he was up north, yeah.
And he had a little gym up there. He lived that way for the longest.
Yeah.
And I think he passed away.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did pass away.
Yeah.
Let's change gear.
Golden Bomber.
Yeah, the Golden Bomber. Let's change the gear and talk about something awesome we created. Something we're both very passionate about. It's the old school golden era bodybuilding. A lot of people surprisingly commented on that video clip about your favorite exercises. They loved it. There were 180,000 views on that video clip, and people kept asking for more and more, and we decided to actually give him a little something more. We created something for him. This thing that we created is called Timeless, the Masterclass. The Masterclass with the Master, Mr. Robby Robinson.
Amazing.
Robby,
Going at it.
we got 3 hours of training, stories about the golden era. This is programmed from every level. We have it for beginner. We have it for intermediate and advanced. We have all the body parts. We have chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs, abs, everything included, everything. The workouts are programmed, and it's coming out soon. And this is the legacy from Robby. It's called Timeless. The Masterclass is the training from the golden era. Now, what can you tell them about this masterclass you
I think
created?
one of the best, this is just something that I wanted to lead up for everyone, because you got to have those basics. You have to stick with the basic exercises.
Yes.
I mean, the basic exercises is lost, and the ability to build a solid strong muscular foundation, is eliminated.
Yes.
So practicing those basics, you got to squat.
Yes.
You have no choice. If you want to be strong, you got to squat. You have to. Squats is very important. It builds the overall quality of muscle. It makes the whole body strong.
Yes.
You got to do chin to the front, chin to the back. You have to. Yeah. Because in that sense, you're changing and structuring the body completely different.
Absolutely.
You got to do barbell curl.
Yeah.
You have no choice. Those are the basics. Barbell row, long pulley row.
Yes.
Pull down to the neck, pull down to the front, pull down to the back. You have to do lateral raises for your shoulders. You have to do heavy behind the neck press.
Yes.
Not to the point where you're using 300 or 400 pounds.
Yeah.
But heavy enough to create muscle growth.
Yeah, to stimulate.
I always say training heavy doesn't mean to have to lift 800 pounds.
Yes.
I can kill you with 145 pounds.
Exactly.
Because it's all body positioning, pushing with the elbows, your bones move muscle.
Yes.
And I think we've kind of slipped out of it. We've got I see all these strange exercises. I mean, do them.
Yeah.
I mean, but do them in the pastime.
Yes.
Stick with your basics.
That's right.
And if you get with the basics, you're going to build a muscular physique, strong muscular physique.
Yes.
To this day, where people thinking I look the way I look because of the basics.
Absolutely.
I have not changed or deserted those basic exercises.
Yeah.
Yes, I do other off-shot exercises, bench curls or my back against the wall curls.
Yes.
Bent over one arm rolls and things like this, but you got to have those real basic exercise, back exercise, chin, long pulley roll, T-roll bar. You can throw in a little few rack deadlifts, but those 3 basics, that's what I maintain to this day. Barbell curls, dumbbell curls, concentration curls for the bicep, tricep presses off the bench, kickbacks, you name it.
Man,
rope extensions.
We did those
yes, exactly.
leg raises, knee raises with a vacuum. Those were crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Doing
God.
the vacuum in a bit because it strains and it changes the whole context of how the physique looks.
Yeah.
You gotta stick with the basic.
I love
those basics. If you came to my master class, I'd beat up on you.
Oh yeah.
Definitely with the basics.
So here's a special offer I want to offer to everyone watching this podcast. Robby has a new YouTube channel, and for the first 1,000 subscribers, new subscribers to his channel, one of them, Robby will pick personally to win the masterclass. So the first 1,000 subscribers from today on, one of you will win the masterclass. So make sure to subscribe to his channel. I'm gonna put the link on the screen and below. And good luck.
Get ready to work.
That's right. So let's leave them with one more thing. You're gonna be able to see Robby live at the Fit Expo in Anaheim.
Totally excited about it.
It's gonna be awesome. It's in August
Nothing but
17,
muscle.
18. That's right. Nothing but muscle.
I got posters and pictures and T-shirts and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Oh, we got T-shirts. We got T-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
We're ready.
Be ready. Been in this game for years.
Yo, listen up. From Muscle Beach, we got an absolute legend in the house right now. Representing the golden era. Give it up for the one and only, the Black Prince himself, Robby Robinson. It's the 10 crack command, un hombre uno. Never let no one know how much dough you hold, cause you know the try to breed jealousy, especially if that man get your stuck up. Number 2, never let them know your next move. Don't you know bad boys move in silence?
So we have one final thing to touch up on, and it's not a small thing, it's the bust. Robby, you gotta tell the story about the bust. We have heard about it in the past. We've showed them the magazines. This is Robby, 1979, September. And then
2 months later, November, there's Joe. They look alike, except for what? He's missing the fro, the Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
So what happened? How did your body get under Joe Weider's head? Tell us about it. What happened over there?
I was actually sending polls for a bust.
Yes.
Which would include my whole image.
Yes.
My hair, the way I look on that magazine over there.
Yeah,
the whole thing was supposed to have been my body, which would represent all the Weider business or Weider company all over the world.
Uh-huh.
And in the process of doing that, I was sitting there not thinking in terms of being used or anything like that. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to use, a black man's image.
But didn't you get a little suspicious? Like he would.
I was in awe about it. I was like, wow, this person seriously, because he was really talking, from his heart about it and what he wanted to do. So I'm listening to this person want to create my physique.
Yes.
And make it the monument of his company. And I thought, wow, that was kind of strange.
Yeah.
Because that is just not something you would think is possible or can happen. And so I posed for the bust the first day. And then the artist came in with the scrapplers and all these little tools.
Wow.
And it had this big hunk of clay on the table. And all I had to do was cross my arm and flex all the muscles.
Epic.
And it just came out beautiful. And the guy was taking the scrapplers.
By the way, the guy, his name is Ralph Crawford. Ralph Crawford. He's the guy that built
Ralph was the person that put that whole thing together. He was able to carve all the lines, and the cuts and separation of the muscles, and making the physique look like, in bronze.
Yes.
By the time we was getting heavy into it, and for some unknown reason, my lady friend Elaine at that point, became ballistic because she realized what was happening. I was still in a fog.
Yeah.
And she came to me and she said, listen, they're abusing this. They're using your body as an image for this company. And she said, Robby, they are not going to put your head on that thing. And when they got through with it, when the guy finished it, we were both standing there. Both our mouths were hanging open because they had the whole image, my hair, everything, Fu Manchu mustache, everything was on that bus.
Wow.
And then we was invited to the grand opening of what they call it, the showing.
The unveiling. Yes.
The unveiling of the bus. And we're all sitting there.
So it was covered with a veil. You said it was like a blue veil or something?
It was a blue veil. The whole thing was over it.
Wow.
It was on the stage, and then a lot of people were there, and Weider came up and says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sat here to unveil the bus. When he flipped it off, everybody was like, caught in they couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Wow.
Because that wasn't what everybody had saw.
Wow.
He had taken my head off and put his head on my body. And made it the monument for the whole company all over the world. And he's still doing that all over the world.
To this day.
To this day.
And
to me,
nobody can say.
And I mean, to me, when I went to a lawyer with that, the lawyer told me again that I would have to pay an untold amount of money, that they wouldn't even take the case. They wouldn't even take the case because of They told me I got a thing from his lawyers where I had to pay his lawyer fees.
Wow.
And from that point on, I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Wow.
I just left. I left here, went back to Europe and stayed over there for 12 years.
Wow. Robby, I found, I always find pictures. Well, I got a picture. This is you. This is an exclusive picture.
Yeah.
That I got it.
It's amazing how you come
from. This is you posing for Joe in his office, and he's looking for the pose.
He just marveled at the physique. He really wanted to have my physique.
He's like, which pose should I use for the bust? Which one should it be? Exactly. Or is it this one?
See what he's doing?
Yeah.
He's seeing all of this. It was just like a whole nother physique.
These are pictures I've never seen before.
I've never seen these pictures.
Yeah, well, I had to pay some money for this, but we got him.
You had to pay money for these?
Of course.
Amazing.
This is nothing's free, man. But we got him.
Amazing.
And like anything, like even the footage from 100+ hours that somewhere we got pictures. And this is you right before he started making the bust.
Yeah.
And he was like, which one should it be? Is it the side chest?
Yeah,
is it the double bi?
Exactly.
Yeah. And he settled for
the cross thing.
Yes.
Exactly.
And he went to work. Ralph Crawford created the bust and then unveiled it with his
Stole the physique.
Stole the physique. And to this day,
so sad.
50 years later, I see it on YouTube. The Olympia TV, there's a YouTube channel, Olympia TV, using the bust as a logo.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have,
It has a connection with Weider?
Well, it's the Olympia.
Oh.
So, and the logo is the bust.
I'm interested in what they want to collaborate with me with.
Yeah, that's a good question. We need to find out what's the collab
they want to collaborate me on that.
about.
I'm going to open up and I'm going to send it to you, Sparks.
Yeah. Actually, I saw it. I saw it. Yeah, I took a screenshot. So yeah, they're asking to collaborate. They slid in.
What they want to collaborate?
They slid in Robby's DM. And they're like, we want to collaborate on this picture of Robby. Robby, we're posting on our page. Can you collaborate and post it on your page? Well, how about some royalties or something for using my likeness?
Yeah.
When you were worth $400 million and I got nothing. And how about that collaboration?
Let's collaborate on that.
Yeah, let's collaborate on that.
Yeah. That's what I think. I think if the Weiders really want to collaborate, go back and collaborate and pay me for money for all those years.
Yeah.
How much money would they have left after that?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? You know what you say, anything is possible.
Anything
is possible.
So you got the information. Ask them what we want to collaborate on.
Yeah. So, message to the Weiders. What do you guys want to collaborate on?
Exactly.
Let us know.
That's what I'm thinking. The Weiders. You've contacted me online on Instagram.
Yeah.
You've left me with the message of let's collaborate.
Yeah.
I wish you all the success.
Robby, let's take a quick 2-minute break.
2 minutes later.
Okay, Robby. So, when you said blue veil, does this look familiar?
Yeah.
This is it.
This looks familiar.
Okay, so 50 years later, I got goosebumps, Robby. We're changing history. This is the bust that was supposed to be unveiled 50 years ago.
That is awesome, Bob. That is cold-blooded.
Robby,
that's how it's supposed to be right there.
This is the bust.
Amazing. I'm gonna post that tonight. I love it. That is cold-blooded.
I mean, we got the fro.
You got the whole 9
We
yards.
got the Fu Manchu.
You got the Fu Manchu.
I even have an earring over here.
I love it. That is so cold-blooded.
I mean,
amazing.
This one has way more detail.
It's beautiful. More detail than the one that they have. It's awesome. I love that spot. Oh yeah.
So this is the bust the way it was supposed to be.
The original one. This is how it's supposed to have looked.
We're changing history.
So where did you get that from?
Bro, I've been working this for 6 months. 6 months in the making, bro. If you knew the story I had to go through to get this.
That is so cold-blooded. I love that.
I had a designer in Brazil.
The actual bust of Robby Robinson.
The actual bust is here.
Amazing.
So, thanks for watching the podcast.
Enjoyed it. More to come.
The Black Prince of Bodybuilding, Mr. Robby Robinson. It's an honor, brother. Always a pleasure. And always good times. Good
Definitely I enjoy shit.
It's going to be a huge year.
It's going
to be a huge year.
It's going to be a great year.
Great year.
Definitely, guys, get your shirts now. Go
get your shirts, The Black Prince.
As soon as possible.
June 28th, the documentary, The Blueprint, is coming out on all platforms. And then there's the Masterclass Timeless. Let's sign out.
Let's do it.